It's the more of MakingStarWars.net. Did you know that Star Wars was a movie before it was a book? This is a fact. Oh, hey, Jesse, what are you doing here? Where have you been? What the hell?
I've been lurking.
He's on strike.
Hey,
He's on strike.
You're clean cut.
I know.
Hey, how's it going, Rob?
Oh shit! Am I going to talk? What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
Man, I'm just waiting for this. We're getting ready for the summer movie season here, buddy. You know,
it's true.
It's the Lego season too. I saw that Lego ad for the Bat Cave, Batman Returns cave.
So you're gonna give Santa a Woody. Don't stop talking Legos. Like he's very excited.
He almost gave me a Woody. This is a shadow box. I have to mount that on my wall, man.
Transformers are monkeys now. Yes. I'm not. Right now they're showing Indiana Jones at cons, and a bunch of people are going to see it come onto the internet and then tell us all about what happened and whether they think it's good or it's bad, and then we're going to talk about that tomorrow, unless it happens while we're on the show. They released
Snyder's not doing it till 5, so I imagine that's an hour later. Than
okay. I don't even know where that is. I'm a poor. I'm what they call a poor, and so I don't even know where that is. I never got to go.
What you guys are even talking about? I'm poor than that. So,
but
poor.
Yeah, I'm a poor, so I won't get to see it, but everyone else will see it, and then they will tell us.
As a true will be there.
As a true is there right now.
In person.
He gets everywhere.
Man, they're letting everybody see the Flash. Everybody's seen the Flash, but us.
That's true. Everybody. I want to
like Battlefront update. I love Battlefront updates. Don't get me wrong. Battlefront updates got to see Flash. That's how Stephen King and Battlefront updates. That's the spectrum of people that got to see the Flash. And you're like, yeah. Everybody says it's good though. Everybody says it's pretty damn good. So that's cool.
28 days.
That's right.
28 days.
Eating for Keaton.
I got a timer going on. I got a monitor with just a timer because it counts down.
Yeah. On Monday, the Indiana Jones tickets go on sale. So if you want to go to the first one, Monday, you're going to want to buy your tickets if you want the good seats. So I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to see it.
You're By the way, this shirt outside,
this shirt
you did the last time you saw
used to be Jones black. Movie? This used to be a pure black shirt. The years have not been kind.
I can't say where they made that shirt. People will be insensitive.
It's true.
Yeah. In Kanto, they made that. The City of Industry, Jason.
Yeah.
Just don't make it like they used to.
But yeah, so there's going to be a new Indiana Jones movie. You'll even if you don't like it, you'll get a new John Williams score, and even if you don't like it, you still get a John Williams score, which a phoned-in John Williams score is still probably better than your other favorite person's best score. Usually,
yeah, it's good for stuff, at least,
right? And they canceled the us poors don't get to go to that either, but the what do you call it? The Galactic Star Cruiser. They finally canceled that shit. They finally said, you know what? I don't think it's gonna catch on, you guys.
This is the first time ever. Was that the first? Mm-hmm. Was it the first time I threw a fit on this show, or was it the holiday? Was it Disney Plus Day?
Rob, honestly, I think you've been throwing a fit since day one.
No, I was on good behavior till that Disney Plus Day hit me. I was blindsided by the
Stark days. It was both times, I think, actually.
Oh yeah, I threw a fit both days. I'm just trying to figure out which one was the first.
Which one was first? I think it might have been Disney Plus Day first.
Yeah,
and then Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen us stare at Twitter longer. Like,
I'll be honest though,
waiting for something to happen.
Star Cruiser was so expensive that it was offensive, and the fact some people who went said they had a good time. Good for you, but at the same time, it's like all of the stupid shit, like how the captain looked and everything. I'm glad that shit looked stupid because I want any excuse to not spend that money on that, and they gave it to every fucking step of the way. So
before Galaxy's Edge came out, it looks the way everyone feared a Disney-built Star Wars theme park would look, right? Without Lucas's involvement.
Star Tours 1985 Part 6.
But without Lucas had involvement,
that would look closer. That would probably look closer to what it, because this was like, I'm a train conductor from space. You're like, no, you're not. No, you just look like an asshole. You know, and I'm an asshole, so I know. You look just like me. But it was, I mean, so like that thing going away, it's like, and then it's funny to see all of these and once again, I'm not knocking the people who got to go for like free. Like, really, seriously, that's rad. Good for you. Get everything you can for free. Free 99 is the nice price. At the same time, to see those people who got to go for free going like, oh, you should go. God, you guys are really missing out. It's like, yeah, because you didn't have to pay fucking $3,000 deal with that bullshit.
That's
like $6,000. It was like $6,000 for
like $6,000. Yeah, I was doing it in my math where we were all going in on it, you know. But yeah, it's like
the cheap route.
Yeah, but Jedi Mike, Legoland's worth the money, man. Jedi Mike, Legoland's worth the money.
Legoland.
Hey,
Legoland, California, dude.
Legoland invites this poor to go all the time. This poor takes him up on it. I'm always like, let's go take some Star Wars pictures and put them on social media to justify our existence. That sounds good.
Legoland is the Marshall Scotties of theme parks. You don't know if
you know what?
You gotta be a little old. You had to grow up in Southern California to know what the fuck I'm talking about. But like that's what we're talking about there, right? Like
Legoland is really good if you have a kid who really likes Legos. But if you just go if you're just like, oh yeah, Legos are fun. I'll buy a Lego set once every 5 years and put it together on a rainy day. It's not going to be for you. No. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's. But I take my kids there. My son, he has a good time, but it is also kind of a half day place. It's not. True. Yeah. You know what I mean? You spend about 3-4 hours there, and you're like, okay, we're good. You know. Yeah, it's not Santa's Village, Rob. It's not Santa's Village. But
as it true says, Legoland's greater than Disney. I'm reading that right?
Yeah,
I got my
as it true is like my son. He's one of those little weirdos. He's like, oh, Legos,
bricks.
No,
he grew up with Bionicle,
more bricks.
He grew up with Bionicle and Lego Star Wars, and so he's a little biased, right? Like he's got it's like. I guess if maybe they made a Transformers land and it was really dumb, you and I would still be impressed that there's a Transformers land, right?
At Universal Studios, they have these like almost life-size Transformers that come out that are like huge robot suits. They're fucking amazing. Like I just watch it, I'm just like, that's fucking neat, you know? Like, so yeah, if they did that, Big Shack, why didn't you let us get in your luggage? You know, sleep on your floor, huh? Oh, because you spent $6,000 on it and you didn't want us around? Oh, that makes sense. I understand.
Well, coincidentally, that's the entire sum of money that Steel made, Jason.
Well, you're not exactly quiet on a Jason, let's get that straight.
What was that, Jesse?
You're not exactly quiet on an air mattress when you.
That's true. Yeah.
No.
But and that's the other thing is Richie points out all 4 indie movies and Young Indie on Disney Plus May 31st. So that's one of those scenarios where it's like, I already bought that stuff. So I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But I mean, I think it's good for like families who haven't seen it, kids who haven't seen it before, who might discover it and then be like, oh, there's a new one. I'll go see it and have a good time.
I recommend showing your kid Temple of Doom. Start with that one. That's the way I started. You'll grow up right, you know?
Yeah, gives you hairs.
Oh, yes. Yes. Nothing freaked out my little neighbor's kid more than when he wanted to wrestle one day and I threw him to the ground and started to put my hand on his chest and started saying, Om Nam Shabbat, Om Nam Shabbat.
Yeah.
The scream that little kid let out.
When I was a kid, like my grandfather was like super cool, but super religious, super Christian. And we watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. And at the end of it, he was like, he enjoyed it. He had a good time. And he was like, there's really nothing in this that wasn't necessarily anything I like. And then we watched Last Crusade after that. We went to the theater. We saw Last Crusade. And there's that part where Indy says, what does he say? Does he say God damn? And he gets slapped. And he said, that's for blasphemy. Right? And I remember my grandfather being like, yeah, he got you. He got you. And he liked it. And then, so anyway, the box set comes out on video, and he gets it for me, and I got it. But my little cousin goes to stay with my grandmother and my grandfather without me, and they're like, "We're gonna watch the Indiana Jones movies." I'm like, "Have a good time," and my grandfather's not there, but my grandmother and my little cousin put on Temple of Doom. And he starts crying in the middle of it because of the fucking like monkey brains and stuff. He couldn't he couldn't handle that shit. And then my grandmother's just like, I don't know what this was. I don't know why you said this was okay to watch. And it's like, yeah.
Classic. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. They had the same thing in 20,000 Leagues. That's a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea gag, Jason.
They'd watch the Great Outdoors and watch that bear get its butt blown off and laugh.
Nobody saw that. Nobody saw 20,000.
Bald-headed bear. Yeah. I saw it. I saw it in theaters.
Bald on both ends.
Did you know on the Haunted Mansion ride, the like organ, piano, keyboard thing that's in there in the room with all of the ghosts projected onto the thing? I think that's from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea as well.
Yeah.
That was like a prop.
Yeah, it's Nemo's.
Can't even bring
that, or it's inspired, but I don't know if it's the same one, but it might be the same one.
I met Jeremy Conrad at Disney that one time, and I went on the Haunted Mansion with him, and he pointed out that there's this like big hole in the glass, and they put like a spider over it because like that whole thing is like a giant piece of glass in there. It's like one solid piece, and somebody snuck a BB gun onto the ride and shot a hole in it, like in the 70s or something. And they like never, but they've never had like the justification to change that whole giant piece of glass. So they just so if you look in there, you'll just see this like spider slapped over it. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, like we went to it was Universal when we did the Harry Potter ride, and kind of waiting. You're waiting in line and you're going through there, and you kind of file through and. It's the one thing that really kind of took me out of it was like they really kind of don't really make a big deal about you being able to see the mechanics of the ride in the way that especially like how it's on that gigantic arm and knuckle and the whole thing. And so it kind of you're getting a preview of what's going to happen kind of to the ride if you've never been on it before, and it looks
I thought it sucked. Yeah. I went on it for the first time. This week is last week was Penny's birthday. And I took her to a Universal Studios, and we went on it for the first time. And I'm like, that ride is from like before the Hogwarts shit opened up, and then everything after that was like next level. Yeah, and that whole thing it's not that good. I was excited about it. Like I was like, because there was like a deal for passes. So I was like, oh, we'll get Universal passes. We'll do that for a bit. And I'd never gone to the Harry Potter stuff. I'll buy you guys some wands. You guys will be little nerds out there. We'll have a good time. And so we went and did it. And I was like, yeah, this is a little, it's not that good for what Harry Potter is. That place could be a lot better. It made me appreciate Galaxy's Edge more, but it also makes me still laugh at the Galactic Star Cruiser.
What's the size comparison? I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge yet. So what's the size comparison?
It's a lot smaller.
It's a lot smaller.
Galaxy's Edge is where it's sort of designed intelligently is that it's like a big circle, and you could almost like walk it and almost like keep going, and until you know what everything is, it makes it feel even bigger though, because of the way that like traffic flows through it. But it also has like 3 exits or entrances and exits into it as well. So it doesn't get crowded. Like congestion is well managed. It's excellently like built, and
it's like a traffic circle.
Yeah, and with 3 places to leave. So it's so the flow is set up really good. Whereas you go to like the Hogwarts thing, you hit that fucking train, and everybody's just saying, "Guys, your fucking Hogwarts train!" And then you can see like you can't do anything, and you're just like, I want to just get right past you people, and you can't. So yeah, like I said, it's from the before times. But I went on that ride, and I was just like, yeah, this is like not as cool as I thought it would be, and it's kind of cool that they have like Harry, Hermione, and Ron and all them, but they're just like literally just look like they put TVs up in front of the balcony with them on it. It's like, I don't know, man.
Hi guys.
Yeah, if I feel like Harry Potter is fucking Skyping in to me right now, as opposed to like being there.
Like worse than a VIP backstage pass.
Yeah. But I also say like it came out. I don't know when did that come out? How long? That's been there for years now, right?
I don't
know.
2019, I think at least.
It was that late? I thought it was like. For some reason, I thought it was like I thought I'd been there for like 5 years by now or something. But either way, yeah, not so hot. But I guess if you had a reservation for the Galactic Star Cruiser, and it was like after the time it's going to close, they're going to let you change it to a time before if you want to, because no one else is going anyway. So just go ahead and come on over. and
I trade my 3 days in for just one giant day. I don't know.
Yeah,
for $6,000, you could have the best vacation in any other country
or
you wanted to go to.
If you're about to file for divorce, you should just go spend that money instead of giving it to your future ex. Just go spend it right now, and then you can just say you did. Say you did it.
Disgruntled divorce dad Jason's my favorite action figure.
I didn't. No, that's not. We're cool. I was like, that's my shit. That's your shit.
Does he come with the closet too, Rob?
It comes with a Freddy sweater for certain.
That's in the closet.
Closet playset sold separately.
Yeah,
and a little Willow drawing.
Man, when I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3 the second time, I started thinking about it. I was like, this is what they thought they were doing with Willow. Like, it's for whatever reason didn't occur to me. They thought they were going to get John Kasdan, and he was going to go and he was going to do what Guardians of the Galaxy does, but for Willow on Disney Plus. That right there is the actual scary part about the Lucasfilm management right there. You always hear this made up shit like, oh, I'm afraid of it because of the woke virus or whatever they're going to say. It's like, yeah, that they're fucking Disney. They're as mainstream as you can get. You're just fucking whatever. But when it comes to that, that's when I go, shit, sometimes they make some wacky ass calls over there. And that's like maybe the biggest one they ever made.
So I was listening to some Vince Gilligan interviews, and I kind of went back in time, like 2019 interview he did and a 2012 interview he did. Okay. And he was talking about executives, right? And he goes, he's like, a lot of people think executives are stupid. He's like, a lot of them, they really aren't. But what they do is they just question their own judgments. So you'll get something where you get to start on something, but then they don't really want to commit to it. And they tell you, we don't want to dumb it down, but could you basically dumb it down? And that to me explains a lot of the recent like Mando stuff, man. It feels like we were getting something smart, and then people got involved, and then they questioned, and then they made it so we want to make sure everyone gets what's going on.
And they left the mark on the product in a way that kind of showed that, yes, we're letting you know that we have this little bit of doubt because we can't commit to this thing fully. So we have to leave this set piece or this little root of something in here to give ourselves plausible deniability that, hey, look, we're kind of sticking to a formula here, or we're sticking to something. It's like, no, you weren't.
I think my joke of a title for this video, did you know Star Wars was a movie before it was a book? I feel like that exemplifies probably where Favreau's at with a lot of the shit. In the sense that he has to go, oh, geez, it's a good thing we got Pablo Hidalgo here, or I wouldn't know where the fuck my keys are. Like that kind of shit.
Wanted to talk to you about.
But that's how that shit played, because they're like, oh God, this is confusing to dumb people. This is confusing to people who can't keep up. And then they get into over explaining things, and also they had a really complicated task of trying to make Mando season 3 be a jump off for the rest of everything else. And
well,
Yeah,
the thing that I was taken away is one of the interviews I listened to was when he was promoting El Camino, which was the epilogue sort of movie that was on Netflix, right?
that was terrible, by the way. I was bored. I watched. I mean, it was terrible, but
it's an extended episode, but
yeah.
I'm getting into that.
Okay.
What I'm interested in though is Vince is a guy who actually started in movie screenplays. He sold a screenplay in 1990, and then they basically had him. He was just pitching screenplays from his home in Virginia, and what he says is he was just jerking off and playing video games all the time. He didn't do anything, and so he eventually ran out of money, and then got a job on moved to LA, got a job on X-Files, and then he that's where he's like actually learned to do his job, right? Mm-hmm. So, and he was talking about having a writer's room and how like he really appreciates that, like he grew to accept it, but then when he goes to write the movies, kind of back on his own. It's a singular event. And I was thinking, okay, there's a TV guy, kind of starts in movies, gets into TV, does that for about 20 years, and then writes a film. But when you watch it, by the way, he also did script work on Hancock, by the way, like punch-up work on that.
Okay.
Before Breaking Bad, when they were trying to get Breaking Bad put out there. But I think about that because El Camino, I enjoy it, but it's an epilogue episode. It's not a film. Like a film is sort of like, I feel is lyrical or it has a different vibe than a TV show episode.
I don't think it's
right. And I think Favreau's a guy who's used to writing film. You know what I mean? And it's like you can do that for 1 or 2 episodes, maybe on a show, but you can't sustain that over 12, 13, 15 episodes. And even Vince was like, yeah, I got 4 guys in the writer's room. He was actually talking about, this is a 2012 episode, and the Nerdist is an interview he did. And he was saying how like he was a little fortunate on that first season because the writer strike happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so busy on set, like picking the colors and like, you know what I mean? Picking the outfits and the locations, that he had like 4 people working back in Burbank on that stuff. And on the remainder of the episode, on the series, and he kind of wasn't checking in with them. Mm-hmm. And then when he saw what they were working on, they kind of went off on a hell of a weird tangent. So like the writer's strike gave him like the pause to at least like shelve that and then, come back. So like, I just think that's someone who's speaking, from something I think that's going on right now. Like maybe season 4 could be the pause if they wrote it in anticipation of, right, getting all that stuff done before the strike. But that's kind of an impossible thing now, or maybe it's not impossible. But if it gives them the chance to legitimately say, hey, maybe we can bring in some more help to kind of punch us up or get it, like however they want to work out the writer's credit. But I just think, like, again, one filmmaker writing every episode for 3 seasons of different things. James Gunn hasn't like written 3 seasons of Peacemaker by himself. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
but also
or 4 when you count it. Right?
Favreau didn't write 3 on his own either. He had the guy who's escaping me at the moment, and he had Filoni as well. And the guy who was given full story credit, from what I understand, he's been writing with him and as a writer on it since like season.
Well, this is
2
what interests me too, because I was thinking about
I don't disagree with the deeper thesis of it is time to have more writers on the show who are taking his stories and then developing them into.
And this is where I wanted to bring it back to Vince, because he said he came in on X-Files in season 3.
Yeah.
So he was the first. He said, I'm the first writer who came as a fan of the show. Everyone who was on there before had helped create the show, but they then needed people who were like fans of. And then when he came on, he's like, the first idea I pitched, they looked at me like I was fucking nuts, but they ended up doing like 4 seasons later, and that was the Cops episode where like X-Files teams up with cops and shit. Because he was like, he wanted to do some comedy, but he wanted to take the characters. He was interested in where the characters were as a fan, not so much as the people who are currently writing them,
Right.
And that's something that I think now, like, if you could find working professionals who are a real fan of the gist of the show and are maybe lost in the weeds. And I'm only using lost in the weeds in a very, I'm not being hyperbolic, I'm being that loosely, but when Favreau said that he didn't know how to write Grogu separate from Din, right? From Mando.
Right.
You know, like I think a working professional fan, right, of the show probably would.
Right.
You know, like because Favreau didn't start off with that concept of them being apart. You know, it's kind of hard to get your head away from that. You know.
Maria says, "Sorry, what was that, Jesse?"
So we wouldn't have got the no button in the mech episode.
Oh, yeah. Maria says Dave Filoni only wrote season 3 Ahmed Best episode. Noah Clore co-writes with Jon Favreau almost exclusively previously. Noah works for John's production company. Right, exactly. But also, like, when it comes to the like changes, if Noah was to go and Filoni were to go and write on any episode, but under 30%, no credit. And I know for a fact, I don't know what the percentages really are that they would do, but I know for a fact that the credited ones aren't the only things that those people wrote. And so same thing with the directing thing. I've seen Favreau. I saw Favreau direct like tons of season 1, and he's not a director on season 1. So there's a little bit more of a team effort going on there between them. And like in my opinion, I kind of think like everybody's like my confidence is shaken in Favreau, but Dave Filoni, I'm like, I think that's the same thing. I don't think it's that different, really. I don't think like I kind of think that at the moment they're kind of sinking and swimming together.
So they were kind of my platoon thing. They were kind of doing like a platoon thing. Or
what way?
Directing as a platoon, where you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like when you know you see anybody in this thing take total credit, responsibility, or credit. It's just always kind of like not exactly like reality.
Yeah,
you know, like on the episode, like the first season with Bryce Dallas Howard. This isn't to take anything away from her, but on the ATST episode, I saw Jon Favreau behind the camera giving the directions, doing the stuff like for like a week. You were there for some of that, Jesse. I think you were there, and it's like and it's like, so you know when you take it like all together, you're like, yeah, like, you know what I mean. It's teamwork. To like some degree. And so, but my hope is that there's only so many places you could put your brain at one time. And like a lot of it was going into Ahsoka and what's coming after Mando 3. Because like the problem I think with Mando 3, like my big critique of it isn't actually necessarily anything that it does specifically, but as much as how it goes about doing those things, like the Carson Teva issues with the New Republic, all of that stuff is, to me, like by itself is fine, but it would have been more interesting if Mando's doing this adventure, we cross paths with Carson, that's where we learn about this other thing, and then we go on with it. But instead, it's like, here, we're going to focus on this. You know what I mean? We're going to focus on like, oh, I'm in a plan on Coruscant, and I'm going to be a good guy now because I used to be a bad guy scientist. But it's like there was just kind of ways to like interweave that into a larger narrative of adventure and fun instead of making it just here's what you need to know. Because I feel like I was reading looking back on it now, it feels like I was reading the Cliff Notes for how to get to season 4.
Like if we're every time you think they're going open world, it's like, no, we're staying closed mission here, and you're not really going anywhere else. And it's like but there are so many threads that, like you said, that could have been led the ghost somewhere that we could have followed, and they could have just went on without using Mandalorian. But it just kept pigeonholing themselves into this just one note scenario, and it just became so taxing.
Well, what is that noise? Is that the ice cream truck?
That would be the ice cream man coming down.
Oh, dude. Can you get Maria? Maria, what do you want, Maria? I think Maria wants.
He'd be chasing ice cream man down.
I think she wants a Pac-Man with the gum, but she wants the ghost one because it comes with 2 gum. The ghost one had Turtle? What? No, that's shit.
Yeah.
Taco.
Ninja Turtles. No.
Taco.
It's got the gumballs and it's got turtles. It's better than Pac-Man.
Yeah. But Maria says for the podcast listeners, Noah is the only story editor and he gets a title card. He writes a big percentage, but under the story editors, there's a staff writers, the writers' assistants, and editors' assistants.
Yeah, I don't like any of them right now. I don't think it's working. Like
You know.
I'm talking about getting an actual writer room.
Assistants there,
So-
maybe the
So
Yeah.
great. He's got a buddy doing it, but
much
I'm
time in
not
craft
feeling it.
services.
No,
Hey, Lucas had Jonathan Hales, and that didn't work out too well. So
Yeah, let's see it.
I would actually say it worked out great for you, Rob.
Tell him too, but
No,
made me quit Star Wars for like 10 years. Real good job, Jonathan.
But you came back. If Hales had came in, you probably wouldn't have come back. You could read those drafts. I mean, it's the Jonathan Hales pass, the Tom Stoppard, uncredited Tom Stoppard pass for Revenge of the Sith. All of those things made his scripts.
I got to make a Tom Stoppard
polish.
shirt. No one has it.
Jumbo. Yes, Mumbo Jumbo ice cream trucks. Yes, they have them in my town. They are everywhere.
Yeah. It was funny though when Tom Stoppard like leaked onto the internet. I remember that day. Everyone's like, "Oh, thank God, it's not gonna suck." Like, thank God it's gonna be like this one thing. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Haha, George Lucas is crazy now. He doesn't give a fuck. He's Kurtz. He's Kurtz in Apocalypse Now, and you're in his fucking world right now." And Tom Stoppard just has to go in there and he has to put on the bandana and deal with it. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with it getting less insane. But I love those movies, so I'm like, hey, if it works, and I do love Mando season 3. I mean, I do. I had a good time watching it. I enjoy it. I don't think it's like garbage. I'm not like, oh, let me put on my scarf and then go watch fucking Filoni films now. Like, no, I'm watching fucking Star Wars. It's dumb. It's fucking cool. Whatever. But at the same time, it doesn't mean like we can't be like critically assess something that we love, which is why my wife left me. But
like people feel smart after watching the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes show.
Oh man, those things cheat. I don't like it when it cheats. I don't like it when you can't solve a mystery. I've said this before on the show. I don't like it when they withhold information, so that way they are like, you can't win. The game is rigged. I want to solve the mystery with you. Sherlock.
Poker Face does it well.
Poker Face does it fucking extraordinarily well. That one doesn't make me mad. And I think Rob you finally watched it, right? You finally watched it. You finally watched episode 1?
Well, I'm third season. I'm in episode 4. I'm up 4.
Okay. My only without spoiling it for you, my only critique of the whole thing is the fact that it's like, what if we did modern golden age of TV stuff, but we mixed it with like Columbo and Murder, She Wrote.
Right.
So you get, meets film. But you get into that when I watched it week to week. I think like the first 3 came out, and then I watched it week to week after the first 3, and it was like the formula got a little bit like and I kind of wanted like the mystery or the main story stuff to be interwoven more into the episodes.
Yeah,
it kind of just fucks off for a long time, and it's so that's where I kind of got frustrated with it. And then like when season 2 comes out, I will probably watch it. I plan on watching season 2 of it when they do it, but at the same time, I just hope it's not the same show that we just got, like, exactly. But it is nice to kind of have that like universal mystery, like, kind of vibe back.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm seeing a long. My sense is that I'm seeing a long version of a character's origin story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're seeing her become the Thing. She's not the Thing. She's got one trick, but her learning how to solve mysteries is something she's learning as she goes along, and she doesn't know it. Yeah. So it's like a big. It's like a long. It's like Columbo Unbreakable.
I got a lot to say on that, but I can't say it until you finish. Okay, so you go finish, and then we'll go back to it, or I can just spoil it all for you, whatever you want.
I don't binge, so
hey.
Give me another week. I got a lot of work, man.
See how thin he is? I mean, look at him. He's practically a ghost, for God's sakes.
I mean, It's only been out for
Just
for
because
like
you eat at the food
months.
truck every day, Jesse, don't mean I have to eat at the
Jesse gets to go to the food truck.
Damn straight.
They had one pass his house. It's just for him.
Hey Jesse, your burrito's here.
I got a food truck.
Extra
Ice
sour
cream
cream.
sandwich.
Yeah.
Ice cream sandwich.
Shout out to Rice Dreams, the food truck in my town, by the way.
See, he knows it.
Dambo.
He
Yeah.
knows it.
Just saw him yesterday. You should be watching today.
Yeah, no, and I didn't get to binge Poker Face because, like I said, I watched it week to week, and but I do think that if I was filling the formula week to week, I think I would probably still feel that if I was binging it. Well, I don't know if that would change for me on that front because it is formulaic by design, so it's kind of not, like I said, it's not bad that it's formulaic. It's just that the central plot needed to be interwoven into the formula. So that way it doesn't feel so like that way you're getting that familiar, but you're also getting like something that is continuing. I don't know. But I like
Mumbo Jumbo. Mumbo Jumbo says, yeah, Rob, but you can eat at Fuddruckers every day. Understand, as long as you get the whole wheat bun, it's almost keto.
Yeah, he's there for limited soda, though. That's what he's there for.
Yeah. I think the last time I ate at Fuddruckers was with my first girlfriend and her grandma in 1996.
I don't think
I think
I've
that
ever
was
had, well, maybe once.
Yeah.
Oh no, they got one in Phoenix, and when I go out sometime next year, I'm definitely going to Fuddruckers. Like, unless the pandemic, unless another
Pandemic 2
variant. Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah.
You never know.
If there's another one, I'm just gonna go complete anti-vaxxer just for the different experience. From the first one. I did the first one. I did the first one. And
I did the living thing. I want to try death next.
But
time.
that other one of like spending all of my money on Postmates. Fuck that. I just want to die.
Yeah. These kids know. My kids know how to make pizza rolls. They can take care of themselves.
You know what? I taught Penny how to use the air fryer and the microwave. I think they're good. So, for the record, I don't let her use the air fryer.
So since it's a open book day, we're on the eve of
we do whatever we want.
And I played another hour of some Zelda last night before bedtime, and it's as I figured. I spent most of it just trying to make some stuff to get across areas, and I'm like, look, this is really fun, but I'm never I have so little time. I can't spend an hour making a raft. You know what I mean? Before I used to just have a raft. Yeah, I think it's fun for people who if you got plenty of free time, and you got nothing better to do, this is a fun game. But
it's not a race, Rob. It's not a race. You can take as long as you want.
But it's a big area you got to cover. It's a marathon. You can't physically, you run out of stamina, you'll drown. You have to build stuff to get to places, and it's the building stuff. And I'm like,
Jedi Survivor makes you craft now too. You got to craft in that one as well.
Yeah.
Do you? No.
A bit. Yeah, you got to craft for some. What is it? I haven't got that far yet. You got to craft clothes or some shit.
No, you just find shit. You just open up boxes and you're like, cool, I got a poncho, like the first game. But I've almost got all the stuff in Survivor. I just kind of been getting on playing like a 30-minute sit down where I've unlocked where everything is on the map in the game, so I can know where all of the stuff is post game. I just get on there, I just walk around, pick up a couple of things, and then I'm gonna do a replay after I have everything on a hard difficulty by myself without my kid being let me play too. I'm like, no, it's mine now.
The building controls the building controls are fairly simple, but again, it's so weird. It's I feel like Nintendo really wants the controls of VR, right? The VR controls. Remember they used to try to mimic those with the Wii, but it wasn't, articulate enough to do. It was too early in the tech. And now with these controls, I'm I feel like Nintendo really wants those Ring controllers from the Quest, on their system. And they're finding ways to get you to you pull, you can take your controllers and pull back and make an arrow. Yeah, sure. Or, you could turn that off, but even with the building, it would make more sense in VR. A lot, it'd be more intuitive, especially rotating axes, hooking things onto this. You got these little hooks. You got to hook them onto rails. It's to line it up with the analog sticks. It's when I have to use a mouse in Maya, and I'm like, I hate this. This is so
Oh, yeah.
unintuitive.
Oh yeah,
That's what I wanted to say. Like when we were talking about Jedi Survivor like weeks ago, and it just came back to me right now. You kept making jokes that game was Zelda, and you know what that game is though? It's more like that Batman game. It's more like Arkham.
Arkham Asylum.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's more like Arkham than Zelda by far. That would be like the best or the closest thing that I played to the Star Wars one. But I probably played 10 hours in the last week. Haven't had any on Xbox. Haven't had any more crashes. Haven't had any big things happen. I am post game, just picking up shit and making doors open and stuff. But in terms of that kind of stuff, so it might be a lot better now. There's been like 3 updates, I think, or something. So it might be a lot better now. If you haven't bought it or you bought it but we're playing it slowly because of the bugs, you might be fine now on Xbox. Yeah, but what are you on?
I got the Xbox Series X.
Xbox? Okay. Yeah. On Xbox, and I'm having an okay time. It's not running too bad or anything like that. So, but yeah, and the what Maria mentions, it's more like a costume change even on the lightsaber. On that game, the lightsaber, like at the end of the day, there's way more than I thought. Like I knew there was a lot, but it's pretty nuts. Like the lightsaber customization.
Yeah,
if they just take that system, they could probably use that system and those designs on future Star Wars stuff for a very long time if they want to.
Or if you can create a profile like for yourself to use for like Battlefront 2 or games like that, and you can customize your blaster and such.
That's what that game needs, because every single time I make like a good costume and a cool lightsaber, my son's like, "That's fun. I want to play." And then gets on there and then changes everything, and I come back and I'm wearing like an orange trash bag and some black shoes or something, and I'm like, So in Fortnite, you're able to like make like your profiles for your different costumes and save them in the slots. Like I wish they would just add that to that, because that'd be nice.
Yeah, Dad, I made you look like you when you wear your stuff for work. You have a hard hat and a vest on.
Is your boy still playing Fortnite?
Yeah, he hasn't asked for the Anakin skin, but he put it back on the Xbox when he heard about the skin, and he's been playing it here and there. And I know he played it yesterday.
Did you get him the Star Wars Battle Pass?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't asked for it yet, though.
Yeah, that's how you get the Darth Maul.
He's wrapped up in Mario right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's heavily wrapped up in Mario.
What's he playing on that?
He's got Mario Maker 2, Mario Odyssey that he's been going through, but mostly Mario Maker 2 playing people's courses.
Yeah.
Trying to do speed runs, stuff like that.
I think Mario Maker 2 is, as a parent, maybe the best buy I made of their childhood so far. In the sense that I spent $60 and it's been like 3-4 years. I don't know. It feels like it's been a while, and they're still playing that stuff all the time.
Yeah,
and it just keeps on. They keep playing those like custom courses and the insane ones and all that. And yeah,
it just comes every now and then. I get handed the Switch, and Dad, you got to try this course that I just made.
I get that every couple of days too. Dad, I'm going to make you a course, okay? And you're like, okay. And then like Luke will make one, and it's like intelligently designed, and it's a little bit like ridiculous, but okay. But then Penny's like, now it's my turn, and she's like, there's a whole lake of fire you can't cross. What are you gonna do, asshole? And I'm just like, I can't do this. This is impossible.
And then he wants to watch YouTubes of the guys who are making their own crazy Mario Maker courses. Like, ooh, I got ideas, Dad. Got ideas.
But that's where I want to take Rob's general complaint about Star Wars video games is, where's our Super Star Wars? Where's our Super Star Wars Maker? Come on, just do the Maker. Yeah, I mean, just let us give us all of the stuff, and then let everybody else make the levels for you.
Here's the problem. Here's why something like that doesn't get made. And if it did get made, it would be made in a very unintuitive way.
Sure.
Nintendo doesn't lay off their employees every 2 years to save fucking money. You know, when their company went down, a little bit of a financial shithole a few years back.
Yeah.
The CEOs took the pay cuts. They didn't fire anyone. They didn't let anyone
I
off.
guess Nintendo
So
doesn't know what corporate personhood is, and they didn't do what was right for them.
And having worked for a major video game publisher, I know what it's like to get laid off simply because they don't have the leadership to know what it's like to keep talent. You know,
right?
So
to fight the sacrifice of bullet, man.
Well, to know that, you know, like the reason why this Zelda game is so good is look how the same people have been working on these Zelda games working on for a long time.
Sorry, I gotta cut in. This fucking idiot. He said, "Did you know Africa is a continent? It's a band, you idiot! You sound fucking stupid right now." All right, go ahead.
I thought he said Alfrica, like where the Alfs are from.
Africa?
Like remember Alf? Yeah,
Africa.
around here.
The fact that Jesse has Alf impersonations ready to go is it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Alf.
It's the best.
That's why you keep me around.
But yeah, so like I
sorry.
wish they would have those things too. At this point, I just accept, you know, if they weren't gonna go with the pixels, which I wish they would, to go with you know, like Behemoth, those guys that made Castle Crashers. You know, something.
Yeah, that was
super
a great game.
Fun. Something super fun that could put in levels from any era, you know, any movie in, you know, and just update them with packs and, you know, speed runs and fun hand drawn, crazy animated stuff. But I'm with you, man. These Super Star Wars, Super Mandoverse, any of that stuff.
I mean, is that what the semi attempt at a sandbox was, or a toy box was, when they did the Infinity figures in software?
No, that was toys as a service. Like that's we're selling action figures to fund the game scenario.
But
I get what you're saying.
That was, I mean, kids love that game. It didn't sell poorly. It did okay. They just
Walmart
during that time, and it sold out.
It was shelf space was the issue for them. They just knew that they
shelf space at Walmart.
It was
so. This is what happens when you don't have a Toys R Us. You know?
Yeah.
Back at Macy's, back out here, they're back in Macy's now.
Yeah, it was like
or Playco.
Target, you know, like when you looked at what Target had, it was like Amiibos now are with the Nintendo games more, but at the time it was like Amiibos, whatever that other big one is, the one that's still going on. I don't remember what it's called. Skylanders, and then you had your Disney Infinity stuff. And
well, the Amiibo has the benefit of it being a system-wide toy and not a game-specific toy.
That's true,
right?
You know, that was better.
But that's kind of what they should have done. Looking back at it, is they should have made those. They should have worked with Hasbro or something to make them just like more standard action figure-y kind of things. That way, they could have just gone over into that aisle or given the Star Wars. You know, remember when in 1999 when we had the Comtech chips, so we could hear the fantastic writing of the Phantom Menace in FM style stereo quality. I mean, they could have done it like that.
Chips in them, yes.
Yeah. It's, you know, I vote for. I have a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. We're like, oh shit, it's true. That's gonna happen.
I wish someone would make like one of those 80s style Star Wars commercials with those figures, and the kids get real excited about hearing CEO Bibble talk. You know, like, oh yeah, we're at
yeah. Royal Fino says, how the hell does Andor, the best Disney Plus show, not get a behind the scenes doc? That's beyond me. And
shows behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has a little bit to do with. It probably has two things going on. The first might have been the pandemic. Remember, they couldn't even get Tony Gilroy out there at one point. He was supposed to direct on it, and then he's like, they couldn't get their showrunner there at that time. So getting a documentary going at the same time when they couldn't even get the primary production on was probably a big part of it. But I also just kind of get the vibe that they're not necessarily like the production where they're going to, Gilroy. He seems pretty like himself usually.
Well,
I don't think he's that performative.
Well, but how much of that behind that show actually would you have to film and cut together to actually make something worthwhile to show on Disney Plus in comparison to some of the other shows that have already been made?
Yeah, because when they go and they like do those things, like a lot of the times what people are fooled into thinking are behind the scenes, it's just them regurgitating what they're doing. There's not really behind the scenes. It's just telling you what you saw. Again, like in this one, there's a lesbian romance. You know what I mean? But it's like they wouldn't do that. But that's the kind of stuff where, that's the discussion that you would want to hear them talking about. The fact that they're putting like the first gay relationship on screen in Star Wars, and it's not treated any differently than but what was the thought process? What were they doing? How did they what was but they're never going to do that.
No.
And so at the end of the day, I don't know what they would have done on that one really, other than a bunch of oh
my God, Diego came out of the trailer and he had a birthday cake. It was
and that doesn't fit with the tone of that production at all, though. You know what I mean? Like, and they did a good job with I think that's why they went before Rogue One, they had the Tony Gilroy Diego interview before when the movie came out, recently. And it was just more hey, here's what we're doing, this is what it's about. It was just more informative, but it wasn't very phony. So in a way, I appreciate that. I do want real behind the scenes stuff. I just don't want what Jesse said, the birthday cake kind of thing. But did you see Gareth Edwards' trailer today for his new movie?
No, I've not.
Yeah, that shit looks fucking good. It looks really good, and it has all this Rogue One stuff.
What if he gets fired and Tony Gilroy gets put in charge of it?
It's another win. What's it called? What's it called in
The Creator?
No, what's it called in Braveheart when the king gets to fuck your wife?
Prima Nocta.
Tony Gilroy comes in right as he's about to conceive his child.
I want to bring up that no one ever mentions this about all the horrible things that characters ever say in movies. It's but Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. in Avengers 2 literally says that when he's going to go and pick up Thor's hammer or attempt to pick up Thor's hammer. I will be reestablishing Prima Nocta. No one says anything whatsoever.
Oh, no. No, I was cackling in the theater like an idiot.
I was
and so was Joss Whedon, So.
Oh, of course. So plenty of
Hey, fun fact about Skylanders was this. People want to know if Skylanders was canceled. So Skylanders, that was canceled. That was back in 2017. I did 3 or 4 covers for the comic at IDW, and then I did a 4-page Skylanders story, but it was written by Ron Mars. So I got to work with Ron Mars, right?
Nice.
Yeah, and so he ended up following me on Twitter or whatever because I was hey, the only thing I ever drew, the last time I drew a comic was written by Ron Mars, Skylanders. He's no one's pimping the fucking Skylanders 4-page backup story. So
that was we were in Reno for a show. I went to go see a concert in Reno a couple weeks back. Went to a local comic shop and they ended up having a copy of just randomly. It was an issue. I was looking for a number 4 Bishop issue from 1994. I think it was because one of the first comic runs I ever bought in my life was Bishop number 1 and number 2, and then I found number 3 later on, and now I finally found number 4, and it was
Jason
pretty nice.
Doesn't know who Bishop is.
Bishop, Marvel character.
I can see that look on Jason's face. He has no idea what you're talking about.
I think it's a place.
Yeah, no, he's the X-Men who wears the Gary Coleman outfit. Jason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got the psionic powers, baby. Power me up.
I'm reading this.
What else?
This isn't the one I wanted to pull up.
Oh, and Razvan, you're not the only person that has the Hot Wheels cars, my friend. I collect those as well. I sell them as well, and then I also have a gentleman I work with who collects all of them as they come out, one by one or several at a time, and he has them all.
Any person who's ever worked in a toy store has at least one story of a Hot Wheels guy who's ruined their fucking day. Just letting you know. I worked at a toy store. I got several of them. But Hot Wheels guys, They cannot be quenched. The thirst cannot be quenched, Jason. You know?
Right. So I don't know if you can see this, but on this one right here, there's these two guys who just like show up in this comic, and they just like comment on the action, and it's like Wolverine and Cyclops.
Yeah.
Like and they I can't know if I can see in this light. They call them like they're like
Mutt and Jeff.
Two certain someone's from X-Men. They like literally say it. Then after that, they won't say it anymore. They go, it's like a Marvel thing. Wink, wink. They keep saying that throughout like their like little explanation text. But I'm like, you literally say it right here in the first part. But
no, I did see the trailer for the creator. That looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's him. So Royal asked, is this his first movie since Rogue One? Did he have trouble getting another movie after the rumors of Rogue One production going over budget? So I don't know. I thought he was doing something for Netflix, unless this was it, and then it became a theatrical film. I don't think that's the case though. But I know he was doing something for Netflix for a while, and then there was that one. But it going over budget I don't think necessarily had to do with him, and I don't know if that would have hurt him because Disney decided to take the movie to a different direction. He went in with making a war film. That's what Disney ordered, like a Saving Private Ryan style war film. That's what he directed. Then they said, we want it to be more Star Wars. And then they said, but we also want it to be daring and all this shit. So then Gilroy's brought in. So I don't know if he just got I don't think he would have got a bad reference from them, to be honest with you. But he may have got a bad just assumption. Oh, he's the guy who didn't finish Star Wars. I got the other guy to do it. And like, but as you're watching that trailer, it looks like you can't take away how much of Rogue One he brought to it. When you look at that trailer, you're like, it's also, isn't it Greg? Is it Greg Frazier who's
Greg
doing
Frazier? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Greg Frazier. He's got another guy
for him though, right? I mean, because how many other writers though before even him as a director and a writer were involved like in the beginning process as it was before that they filtered through and that they kind of basically banana boated in
and he didn't write it, so he was at like the mercy of those writers,
and all of them are still working, so they went on to just fine. So I don't think.
But it's one of those situations though, like where when you're the director, you get all the love and all the hate. Like Favreau talked about earlier with Favreau, all the love or all the hate, it all goes to him. When it should realistically be spread around, but that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Well, Ridley Scott had a famous saying once, where
Great Scott.
It was in relationship to giving people credit on the film. He's like, look, I give everyone the credit for whatever they did, because at the end of the day, if the movie's good or bad, I'm the one who takes the blame, so best to give people credit for what they do, but that's where it's like when directors hog credit, he's like, it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
So because it doesn't matter whether you hog any credit or not, whether it's good or bad, you're still going to get the blame, or you're going to get the praise.
I was thinking about you.
Share it.
I was watching, is it GQ who does the like Google autocorrect or auto finish things where they pull the card off and it says like what the search term is? That series of videos on YouTube.
Ooh, no.
Okay, well there's one with James Gunn, and it says is James Gunn, and then like he finishes one and it's auteur, and he's like, I don't fucking know what that means. Like, I mean, I'm the writer director, but a lot of people make the movie. I make all the choices, but so like you were like, he's an auteur and all this stuff, and like when he was like, you could tell like that embarrassed him. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, because he's a working class trauma dude, but he is like. He clearly has a voice in anything he does. You don't watch it and go, I don't know about that James Gunn. Like when I found out James Gunn wrote Dawn of the Dead Snyder remake, I'm like, yeah, that makes total fucking sense.
I know you're full of shit because you told me that you were anti-gun.
That
was a dad joke. Come on. That was a good dad joke.
Yeah, but like most dads, you can't fucking spell, so it's one N, not two N's. So, yeah. Yeah, but I'm pro grenade. I think everyone should be able to own grenade. Go figure, right? That's the problem with being in America. There's just no consistency, Jason.
I'm a good old just fan of just gasoline over the head and and running. You know,
the daimyo. You're the daimyo.
yeah.
Old fashioned
Yeah.
M80s, man, never fail.
But
yeah, look, Matt, great Frazier.
I'm going to see it. I'm going to see the creator, and because it looks really fucking good, and Frazier is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, and he also did a few. He shot a few of the first episodes for Mando season 1, and I'm just like, look, they've come a long way trying to get back up to that. But Frazier's look to me should be the look of. I mean, he shot the Batman. It's the look that I would use for the cinematic modern Star Wars for quite the while, if I had my say in it.
Yeah. I mean, like Dean Cundy, like that guy kind of sets like the 80s Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, like all of that shit, like that vibe. He sets that. Yeah. And I feel like when we look back, it's going to be Gray who's going to be the guy who they say that's the person that defines the good of this era.
I wasn't a fan of Dune, but I admit his photography work is
not an ugly movie. I don't think it's an ugly movie.
No,
I like it.
I know, Jesse. I know.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I just like, I don't know. It's Dune is a weird movie for me when I consume so much Star Wars because I'm like, get the fuck on with it. But I enjoyed I enjoyed the book more than the movie, and I don't really like the book that much. I think it's been ripped off so hard, it's like a little bit overrated. But I also feel that fake anthropology gets a little boring compared to real anthropology as well, from my perspective. But I like Raz's comment here. Things to say that will start a fight. You guys want to fight? So, yeah. But there's what else was there? There was a featurette, by the way, on Indiana Jones 5. Has a couple of new shots in it, but I'm not going to play it on the show because I don't want to risk getting it taken down, having to deal with that bullshit today. But it's worth, if you're a super indie fan, it's worth watching. If you're like, yeah, I'll see it, but I'm not, I don't need to see every new little minuscule thing, I wouldn't bother with it. It's just a lot of self-suck, on that front.
Tripwire events, Jason.
Tripwire events. Yeah. I mean, he knows how to fucking pitch a movie and get a job. I'll give him that much. You know what I mean? Tripwire. I'm like, oh shit, Tripwire.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, he's like, I've rigged your seats. Man's goals, rigged your seats. Tripwire. Like execs sit up, they get blown off a leg and shit. Yeah. He's a serious dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's got a serious mustache. It's not. I don't know where to place that mustache. It's not. It's not.
I'm not saying he wears an ascot. I'm saying he's put one on and said, "Can I pull it off?" I'm not saying he does, but he definitely considered it. Like for sure.
No.
Yeah, well, it was a real friend if somebody did. Steven says it'll be interesting to see the website that will put out Andor season 1 scripts and concept art. They've been pretty reluctant to put out scripts for everything else.
Don't worry, we'll get a copy and we'll read it.
Well, I can't say anything specifically about anything on this front, but I've seen stuff before, okay? And let's just say on a Star Wars thing in the distant past, I got to look at it. And what I would say about that is sometimes those scripts say shit in there they would never let you see. Like, for sure. Like, this person is reminiscent of some political figure, and it doesn't even make a value judgment. It just says they remind the writer of that person. No value judgment to it, good or bad. But if they put that out, you, the consumer, would go, "Oh my God, they're saying that Tony Blair looks like Jabba the Hutt," and it's like, no, it's not saying that. It's not what it's saying, or whatever. It would just be
they don't
something.
understand. Like, the best scripts,
yeah,
the best scripts to read are ones where you feel like they're telling you a story versus reading a fucking movie technically written down dialogue, like the annotated screenplays where it's just a movie written down into a script form for Star Wars, or
I
fucking
think
dog
I
shit
think
to read.
that's I think
Like-
yeah, it's like the difference between like the revised fourth draft. The fourth draft of Star Wars: A New Hope is the final draft, but I think the revised one's the one that made it into the Art of Star Wars book in the back that you could read through,
Right.
and that's the one where they made it where it's like more verbatim to what you saw on screen, like a transcript.
I always recommend people, if you want to read a script that to me is like this is like how you want to, the level you want to reach when you write.
Yeah.
Something like that, I would go read Django Unchained. I'd go read the script for Django Unchained. Like you there's no way you come, even if it's not your movie, there's no way you read that and don't go, fuck, this is fun, dude. Like, it's fun to read. Scripts will put you to fuck to sleep. That's why it's one of the worst jobs to get. I had a buddy who read scripts for a living. He got out of writing after. He's like, I can't do this. I hate this. It's all dog shit. But and then I've read
Smith?
Cameron's.
Was it Will Smith supposed to be Django?
No, it was Jon Favreau. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. But I mean, and then Cameron's scripts are super technical. Like, he puts all of his camera, because he's writing it for himself. You know, he puts a lot of technical.
That's more like his
It's a lot of
Bible.
annotated. Yeah, a lot of technical, field of view, fucking with a camera lenses and shit in there. You're just like never. Only because he's shooting the shit he wrote that he get away with that.
I don't know if it's true, but I heard that M. Night wrote a draft of Indiana Jones 4, and in it he wrote how shots would be directed. Like, he wrote
Aaron Sorkin.
And no, but like
Sorkin's-
Spielberg was like, no, you don't tell me how to direct.
Aaron
That was
Sorkin's in my top. Is in my top. 3 writers of all time. But A Few Good Men was a play, so he was adapting a play into a screenplay. Whereas Django Unchained is a guy writing something, anyone can read it, and you don't have any prior knowledge of the. Yeah, but again, if you ever read the Django Unchained script, then I can't help you. I've read The Few Good Men. I've read everything. I mean, Sorkin's great,
there used to be a site back in the day when like the GeoCities times called Drew's Scriptorama.
Oh,
and it was cool. You could just go there and you could just like read like scripts that were just floating around. It was a good time.
I also recommend. I went to the LA Film School when they had I went up there. I didn't attend it, but I went up there when Jobs came out, the movie Jobs, and Sorkin was there. So you can go listen to that interview he did on the Joe Goldsmith Q&A. That was really good interview with Sorkin. About that.
So Bespin just texted me. They put out full Indy 5 reviews, not just reactions. It got a 5-minute standing ovation when it ended, which is pretty standard at cons. Harrison was crying. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I'm glad I'm glad it got that. Like, it wasn't just like, well, that was that. But the whole like, we got to stand and clap for an hour kind of thing is kind of what they do there. So, but it's also a good sign. It's a better sign than a bunch of people like being, disgusted. Wait, so who put out a review? Put out a review. I want to know. But we'll tomorrow we'll do a reviews episode where we'll go through them all and see what they say. Hopefully a full synopsis of the film will be out tonight too. That's well done, incredible. That's my hope. Because we saw them film a lot of that like little cart sequence. That's the clip right now. But you fucking watch that and you're like, oh, this is magic. This is not the same. So I'm like, tell me everything. I'm frustrated with them at this point that they're showing the fucking movie and us poors can't even really know, is this a time travel movie? I'm pretty sure it is, but but it's more like I think it's like an interdimensional, time travel movie kind of thing. But fuck if we know. Nobody does, because they're idiots, and they could have been marked. When they spent money at the Super Bowl, they held back because they didn't want the secrets to get out. Now it's fucking, they're showing the fucking movie tonight, and the whole thing's going to be on the internet tonight. It's like you guys should have just gone with the most aggressive marketing that you fucking can. Like all of this fucking, like, what? Like, it's like, go for the best sex you can. Not the thing that's going to be like, oh, the first time and I want it to be no, go like, fuck that audience. Make it a good time. make it the best time in the world, and not just so, oh, this is special, I didn't see it coming. Like, that is so batshit stupid. When you're selling a movie, you're selling it today. And they don't do things like they're selling it for fucking 5 years from now, but they act like that with spoilers before. Like this Indiana Jones thing, I think I think it's going to be successful personally. Like, I'm betting on all of these old one character, classic character movies to perform well. That's why I think Indy, I think Batman, just like Mario and Maverick. I think like you could see a fucking theme that's going on. At some point, it'll burn out. At some point, it will. But I think this summer it's good.
Batman's so big that when he appears in someone else's movie, it's a Batman movie.
Fuck you, Flash. You fucking you cult leading fucking bullet feeding to babies fucking weirdo. I don't give a shit about you.
You go see Batman.
Yeah, I'm here to see Batman 2.5. Okay, that's the part I'm here to watch. You know, even if I have to see Ben Affleck's stupid face before. You know, so he says all of the outlets that were there seem all positive. I've seen around 10 reviews so far. All right, so that's good. I mean, you know, it is. I do really, truly, seriously believe that if this is going to be like a really good Indiana Jones movie, I think it's going to be a really competently made. It will probably end up being like, you know, somewhere in the middle of how good it is because the concept is only so fresh, right? So it's
will it be the one that you watch that people will watch after The Last Crusade?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm guessing it would. I really think that, like, I know you love Temple of Doom, Rob, and I love them all. They're all my old little weirdo.
Right. That's what Disney is shooting for. That's what we're shooting for right now. We want to get the one that we would watch after The Last Crusade.
Right. Yeah, I'm betting. My sense is it's going to be Raiders, Last Crusade, Dial, Doom, and then the Crystal Skull.
Rob's crying on the inside right now. I hope you know.
Yeah.
You just heard it.
Yeah, I don't know. That minecart race, Jason. It's got a minecart race.
It's just I mean, like my thing about Crystal Skull is the same thing, that the same issue essentially that I have with Doom and Crystal Skull is that they both just have these moments where they hit these points like where the edit is kind of broken and then I stop. Like I watch Crystal Skull up until Marion. And then I get back in, and then I start to go, you know what? I'm in. Then we hit the waterfalls, and I'm just like, fuck, you broke the movie. Like, they break the movie with the waterfall joke. People talk about bombs and monkeys and shit. No. In reality, that's you being uptight. The actual thing that breaks it is the fucking 3 fucking waterfalls sequence where they drops and it keeps going, and all momentum that it's built is completely fucking evaporates in those moments, and then it's a lost cause. And then, but like with like a Crystal with a Temple of Doom, I like everything. If it was a TV series and like 22-minute segments, everything's great. But when I go to sit down, I almost always watch Temple of Doom in like 2 sittings. Even though I love it, don't get me wrong, I love it. But like the whole opening and like the Shanghai opening, then you get to the part where like they meet the starving people, and you're like, you know, like the Indian village. But then, like, we have like all the stuff like on the elephant and like what's her name and the camping stuff, and they're great moments, but they are really like just kind of like dead.
Yeah,
they just kind of stop in their tracks, and it's not really indie when it's working the best. But you know, Short Round makes everything go down just perfectly fine at the end of the day. So I love them all, but that's just my take. But Raz says Crystal Skull of The Force Awakens, Dial of the Last Jedi. Yeah, I think that this is probably going to essentially be Indiana Jones 4 if it was Force Awakened. I think that's kind of what it seems like, because what you're doing, like you could tell that they do things like they bring in what's her name, Helena. The new character Helena, but then she kind of has her own Short Round. So they get to bring in some of those moments of the things that you love from Temple of Doom, like, and then but then there's the whole dad and like son kind of dynamic where the one saying, I'm not happy with what you've done, and blah, blah, like that kind of banter goes back and forth. Like all of the stuff that you remember from Indiana Jones is things that we've seen in this so far. So it'd have to be my whole like worry about me as a fan is the fact that I don't understand the MacGuffin and like the power behind it and how it's going to work. And if that is ultimately stupid, like in some ways, Temple of Doom is maybe the least successful of the films because nobody knows the Sankara stones but us three guys on this podcast for the most part. If you go out and if you go down to the grocery store and you go Sankara stones, people will look at you like, I don't know what if you say Holy Grail, if you say the Ark of the Covenant, you know what I mean?
But if I say minecart race,
nobody would know what you're talking about. Huh? They would think you're talking about Minecraft.
No,
they'd be like, Minecraft? but once again, the fact that you say that is like it proves in a way how broken it is that like the mind thing is better than the MacGuffin in that.
It's as broken as the Phantom Menace, but the Phantom Menace still has the pod race and the Darth Maul fight. So for me, it wins.
No, but the movie's about the Phantom Menace and like it's literally
about I know.
But let's see. No, but but no, I love them. I'm fucking gonna watch before it comes out. I'm watching the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. So like, I'm all about it.
Momentum. No, I'm
momentum.
out when they hang out with Agatha Christie
it has
on top
no
of the pyramid for like a half an hour. It was ridiculous.
So Bespin says lots of nostalgia. Nostalgia is the word being tossed around a fair bit, but in a positive way. One said the Force Awakens energy. Told you. High praise for the action along with Harrison and Phoebe's performances. So
yeah, as a guy who's counting down to a Michael Keaton reappears as Batman, I'm not too dealing with nostalgia. Like, oh no.
There is an episode of Young Indy. I think it's in Africa. And it's written by Frank Darabont and Carrie Fisher. And it's about like these old guys who nobody wanted in World War I. So they formed their own regiment. I think it's called Indiana Jones and the Phantom Train of Doom. And if you want to try Young Indy, but you don't want to like watch it in order or like deal with the filler or the crap or the ABC and the 90s stuff, that's probably the one to watch. And if you like it a lot, watch the rest. If you're like, this is just okay, because it's like this is so before the golden age of television. Like I see all these people getting excited about it, and I'm like, I don't think they should have put this out right now. I think they should have put it on Disney Plus after the movie. On that one, I do.
The main love films should be on there. The main three films should be the ones you promote.
The main four films, Rob. The main
three films.
A Steven Spielberg movie with John Williams is still fucking better than any of the other dog shit fucking movies on there. You go watch
As
Pinocchio.
Someone who's seen The Lost World in theaters, I can prove you wrong. No, trapeze swinging in a shed. Don't get me fucking started, bro.
I like to think that the people that just write woke all day on the internet, when they die and go to hell, they have to watch Jeff Goldblum with his black daughter having a spinoff on Disney Plus on a loop forever. And she does karate against dinosaurs forever. Anyways, Mumbo Jumbo saying, is Young Indy worth it? Yeah. So if you're obsessed with Indiana Jones, as I am over the years, it's completely worth it. But once again, no, it's not made on HBO 8 years ago. It's made on ABC in 1990.
It's not as good as Urkel.
It's better than Urkel. It's a good show, but here's the whole thing. What see, Rob doesn't even have that right. Is it as good as Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman? Yes, it is.
The fact that you watch Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman proves that we are on two different wavelengths.
Well, no.
I get Murder, She Wrote. But I'm not watching Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
But Rob,
Quantum Leap is on and MacGyver. I got other shit to do.
Let's be real. You're doing a historical epic on ABC in 1989, 1990. What are its contemporaries at that time? It's stuff like that. No, that's like late 70s, dude.
V.
That early 80s, dude. Not even the right time.
It's historical now. Like when you watch it now, it's historical. I mean, it wasn't at the time, but
I mean, if you believe that lizard people have taken over the government, I guess it's historical.
And and
Hey.
you know, Jesse's like, now you have my attention.
Now he's like,
I thought they already did.
I'm
Holds up
just
the
hoping
glass.
those fucking Anunnaki are real because they sound horny. But yeah,
and they got a lot of gold, like leprechauns.
yeah. So, anyways, yeah. I mean, it's like it's George. I mean, they're like George Lucas dictated stories to some degree. So, some of them are actually really good and really well written. There's one with the child Indy who's hanging out with Leo Tolstoy, and Tolstoy's just a fucking drunk, like being Tolstoy, and it's pretty good. There's one with like Picasso. That's the Picasso one's actually not that good. But
by the time Indiana Jones had come out, Quantum Leap had been on for like 4 or 5 seasons, dude, and they had jumped back far enough in time on some of those episodes. There was precedent. There was precedent.
That's not the same at
it's
all.
Not as executed as well as Quantum Leap by any means.
And you had Star Trek with the holodeck too, going back.
No. See. Here's
don't bring up the Merry Men. That's not the same.
So here's the whole thing is, in that show you have some of the very first CGI visual effects test of all time on screen in there. It's like the test bed. At the same time, Rob is talking about Quantum Leap on the universal backdrop. Hold on. On Indiana Jones and on Indiana Jones on this though, on the production, they actually went fucking around the world. If it takes place in Tangiers,
lessons instead of doing Indiana Jones adventures, like
not exactly.
Boring.
Once again, Rob saw an episode of something, and now he's saying 3 seasons of a show are that. But
see an episode. I bought those things on videotape, one at a time, with the Drew Struzan cover.
Oh, you're a fucking idiot if you bought this shit one on for $20 each. You're fucking high.
I was an idiot, and I'm mad about it. That was a lot of money.
Should be, but be mad at yourself.
It could have gone to Killer Instinct too, Jason.
No,
right? But it didn't.
But here's the thing is George Lucas, because he's a maverick, you guys. He's a maverick. No, I'm kidding. But George Lucas, being the weirdo that he is, he decided, what if we go and we write like a season of scripts, right? And then we go write a sequel to every script that's its own adventure. And then we film that, and then we film scenes that connect them, and then we edit them into films. And ultimately, it's
like
a super interesting. No, but I mean, but somebody had to try it. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to work or if you're going to like it until you try it. And
Stevie
and
wasn't
it's
going to do it. Yeah.
No,
and then busy trying to make an Oscar, Ooh,
but then where it goes wrong is he did the same format on the Clone Wars. There's a film edit of Ahsoka, which is those 3 or 4 episodes cut into a film. Same thing with Pong Creel and the Umbara arc, as well as another one. Anyways, though, what I heard that Lucas learned was he wished that he had made the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, those things, 22 minutes long. Because if he had done it, he could have kept the pace and momentum, and when they were cut into films, they would have actually been closer to Indiana Jones films. Instead, you have things filmed out of order, put together. There's one shot in Young Indy that is the most egregious moment in CGI history, and it should be famous. That. It's the little boy who plays Child Indy. He goes up. And they go back to film the second episode when that kid's now hit puberty. He's too big.
Oh yeah.
And so they shrink him down. They make, but it's like a man on a child's face, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And no one cared.
The worst they're gonna do is send a letter to. The worst they're gonna do is send a letter to Starlog, Jason. No one cares.
No, this is fucked up. Okay, this is the truth. When the little girl from Poltergeist was dying in 3 and she looks like all bloated and weird? It looks like that. But it's like the young Indiana Jones kid all of a sudden. And then he's like a kid again. It's really weird.
Also, if I had just kept the prequels to 22 minutes each, they would have done better too. So
okay, so here we are.
Live and learn.
So Bestman says it's getting 3 to 4 stars on average. This is one of the negative reactions. An Indiana Jones movie on paper only. It has a globe-trotting adventure, an extravagant historical MacGuffin, your familiarly dressed hero, and of course, Nazis. But it lacks the excitement, charm, creativity, and humor of the originals, meaning Crystal Skull, making for a tedious 150-minute farewell to one of the cinema's greatest characters. Has glimmers of fun, but even the action-packed World War II opening feels mostly uninspired and visually questionable. Didn't hate the movie, didn't love it, just okay, a shame. And like so, it says that's like the worst one. And then the Dial, Antikythera, there it is. Finally,
Of course,
there it is. Antikythera, a clock-like pile of dials and levers that was supposedly invented and made by the genius second-century Greek mathematician Archimedes. Mostly famous these days for jumping out of the bath, having grasped the principle of displacement. To calculate and calibrate astronomical phenomena. For the purpose of this story, it's also suspected of having the godlike power to find and skip those so-called fissures, making it possible for the holder to travel through time. Since antiquity, however, the Antikythera has been divided into two. One half is the object of contention between Voller and Indy, whose tussle for it in 1939 when the Fuhrer wants to get hold of it to exploit its potential to do, well, this is unclear. But bad things. This half is apparently lost forever during the fight in the train. But no, Indy's late colleague has his friend Basil Shaw, Toby Jones, gone full mad professor, managed to hang on to it. The other half is buried with Archimedes, maybe somewhere. Shoot forward to 1969. Voller wants to find the two halves and use his math know-how to zap back to the war and fix things so the Nazis win. Indy, of course, wants to see it in a museum.
And this is why, like, look, Dial of Destiny, man, it's such a dumb fucking. They should have just used Infernal Machine, because I could see Indy calling this thing an Infernal Machine.
Should just call it Heir to the Empire. That's what I say.
And it's a cooler fucking name, the Dial of Destiny.
They could. You know what, Rob? I'm going to say these motherfuckers getting paid this money that I don't get paid can sit down, come up with a new fucking good title that's never been used before, and that's not Dial of Destiny.
They use it because it sounds like a title that would be used in the 30s.
They already own the Infernal Machine name. Just use that name. It's better.
No, you just even the way it's written and the way the words kind of stick out. It's
I would
serial style.
I call it Indiana Jones and the lust for the sweaty goddaughter.
I gotta go get my boy.
All right, dude.
All right.
Tell him I said hi. We'll play Fortnite whenever he's down. Tell him to get on. We'll team up.
All right.
Later, Jesse. Good to see you, dude.
Bye, Jesse.
Bye.
Yeah. So the whole, like, hopefully the whole it belongs in a museum thing is a little tongue in cheek. Because you can't put that kind of power in a museum. That thing does belong in an army crate in a fucking, you know what I mean, where nobody can get it. But I'm telling Bestman thank you for things. I read him on the show, and we'll do a whole episode or whatever tomorrow on it. Like, get it all together.
Razavan obviously never played Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, which predates the Lara Croft movie. So sorry, buddy. Indiana Jones already did the Antikythera thing in a video game, and it had a better name and a damn cool fucking cover. Damn cool cover, by the way. That game I bought off LucasArts stock. You had to buy that exclusively off that fucking site, and there was that was 6 to 8 weeks shipping, Jason. Like them's the old days of shipping, where you buy it and you're like, I grew a whole I was in the army, but you know what I mean. You could put on or take off a lot of. You could go through summer vacation by the time that shit gets.
Okay, Robert nailed how I feel about it. Infernal Machine sounds like Hank Hill yelling at his broken down weed whip or lawnmower. Yeah, it does.
And the Dial of Destiny sounds like Stan Lee complaining about his egg timer. You know what I mean? So I can make a fucking stupid joke too, Robert. You know, like
No, don't. Robert made a
What?
good joke. Robert made a good joke.
what? No, I
But
didn't think it was my weed whipper. Right? That
yeah,
bullshit.
this
Oh, my
infernal
weed
machine.
whipper. This and
But
damn. Yeah, hot damn darnation. Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
The dial of destiny. Oh, da, da,
no.
da, da, da. Like, yeah.
Post George, I don't feel like they've really like nailed titles though at all.
No.
I
No,
like
none of
I
them really.
like I like the Last Jedi. I just don't feel like the Last Jedi is like the other titles. Like I don't feel like it fits with the Phantom Menace, for instance, and Return of the Jedi. It has its own.
It feels like it would have fit better in an episode 7 or 9.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like
but
more than the middle thing, right? Like
right.
right.
Okay, hold on. He's Variety says the elaborate action scenes and witty one-liners delivered by Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny mostly received a muted response inside the theater. Audience members could be heard whispering out of boredom in French. Oh, fuck you, Frenchies.
It's hard to say with cons. I've heard standing ovations for films no one gave two shits about. Matter of fact, this happened like last summer. It was some fucking movie. Happens at Sundance too. They buy films, you know, they get a great word of mouth. Like Heathers, remember the movie Heathers? That fucking did so well at Sundance. Got it picked up a big fucking push. Did like $100,000 in opening weekend. Like it was like it died. You know what I mean? Went right to the. So I don't fucking know, man. Like I can't imagine the French audience getting all like nostalgic over Indiana Jones.
French people talking during an Indiana Jones movie does not fucking surprise me at all.
Super Mario Brothers, you know, ain't getting a standing ovation or laughs at Cannes.
Yeah, Maverick probably wouldn't. The Maverick premiere there.
The premiering at Cannes, that's Lucasfilm. That's that mindset that they have, that they're still like, we're like part of Golden Age Hollywood, when they weren't. They were supposed to be Rebel Hollywood. It's so weird.
The director wears an ascot. Come on. No?
Lucas and them are part of Rebel Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
But now they're seen as Golden Hollywood. It's so weird to me. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. Disney. Buck that old shit, you know? Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, I understand it. I mean, I know where they're coming from in the sense that they are trying to make movies that are like completely fucking amazing. They are trying to make like they aren't trying to turn out fucking, like John Carter of Mars. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to make classic Star Wars films, Indiana Jones films, and they think that in doing so means it's worthy of that place or belongs in that place. But at the end of the day, you're Disney. You're making popcorn movies that are supposed to be for everyone. That place is designed literally to not be for everyone at all. And so I thought it was a weird thing to like do, and
yeah, they were better off just fucking showing it at Comic-Con, I mean, like last year or something, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
winning that goodwill, because frankly, they need the mom and pops and the kids, more than they need the art critics, to come in on this one. So
yeah, that they don't. Yeah, those. I mean, realistically, if that audience hated it, it would probably be for the people. And the fact that we're hearing conflicting things there, I don't think that place is a microcosm for American culture at all. And so, but with that in mind, if it's pleasing some of those people and then not all of them, it's probably going to end up being one of those things where it does try a little too hard. And so it loses some of the everyman, if you will. And then it doesn't, but then it's still Indiana Jones. So it still kind of, does all right. I don't know. I don't really feel like I could really read a review and be like, oh, I feel good. If everybody in the whole world was saying it was good, I'd be like, well, it's probably good. But that never happens with Star Wars or indie. And even if it is good, that will never happen because it's just too big of an audience.
Well, it may have the first time when it's new, right?
Yeah.
but when it's the fourth movie in, how can you? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's not really what that festival's about. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, that's she's right. Mangold Star Wars project in trouble. Yeah, dude, because they didn't like that one Thor movie, so they didn't make Taika's Star Wars movie. So you're completely right. But yeah. Well, I think what we'll call it a show, because I'm gonna have to probably go collect all of that stuff and start looking at that stuff for our show tomorrow, anyways. So we'll do that, and tomorrow we'll talk about Indiana Jones stuff. And I forgot to even talk about it. There was a release date for Ahsoka that was August 31st, and it was on a poster for the Disney Reward site. And then after we started talking about it on the internet, the fandom that is, they removed it. They changed the they took the release date off of there. Something tells me that was a tentative release date, and that's not the release date though. But we'll see, you know. But we'll talk about that more pretty soon when there's some Star Wars news. But once again, realistically, if you can start hearing Star Wars news and it's not from somebody who you generally trust to give you film news or Star Wars news for that matter in the past, don't believe it, because we're going to go into a dry spell, I think, with this writer strike and stuff, most likely. And things are like here are completely stalled out. Like even when you go, I go out to some places like bars and stuff, like in the area, people aren't doing anything. You know, it's quiet.
Hey, so, and before we go, Jason, do you know there was a Young Indiana Jones Chronicles video game on the Genesis?
Yeah, I played it, dude.
It was on nerd.
I think it was on. It was there was one on Nintendo as well. There was one. It was on. I think I played it on I feel like I put it on Nintendo itself.
Yeah, there's a Nintendo one and a Genesis one.
Okay, that's the one that I played. Yeah.
The Nintendo one does look better. I don't know why. I mean, graphically, you would say no.
Rob,
I can just tell you, looking at this Young Indiana, this is not good.
We all lost for playing that one.
Not good.
That was from the era where if they had the copyright Lucasfilm on it, you bought it and you saved it. This is in the era that I was buying Land Before Time puppets because it said Lucasfilm. You know,
hey,
whatever.
Hey, those Land Before Time puppets was a whole reason to go to Pizza Hut for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, Land Before Time won. You know, there was promise there. Yeah, you know, there was.
That's it.
Yeah, and then they started. You know, we were moving. That generation was moving towards Full House and towards Barney, and in the process of that,
pissed me off that after Bluth got the win with American Tail, he didn't double down and just give us a Dragon's Lair or Space Ace film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he should have capitalized on that. And use that, and then go back and give them their mascot movies. You know,
what do you do? Fievel Goes West and All Dogs Go to Heaven. Is that what came after?
Yeah, and then anesthesia.
I can't feel my mouth.
Yeah, the rotoscope, the film. Anesthesia. You can just watch a whole movie getting rotoscoped if you want to see. Yeah, except for the Bat. The Bat was really good, but everyone else is rotoscoped, so it's just weird to me. I'm not a fan of rotoscoping, Jason. Not a fan.
Yeah. Sega Genesis. Susie says Sega Genesis was my first console. It came with Sonic and Garfield. Weird. I wonder what bundle that was.
That sounds like an EU bundle. Like.
Yeah. I remember when I think mine came with Altered Beast. I want to say.
But she said Genesis, so I'm thinking not EU because she would have said Mega Drive. So maybe it was Brazilian.
Well, it might have been one of those. Might have been like one of those things Canadian. that like Toys R Us, like where they put like the bundles together for you or something. You know, I don't know.
Well, they packaged the Sonic. It's the Garfield that's weird. Maybe Susie just got the Garfield with it, and you know, it wasn't packed with it.
Yeah. I'm glad that you got those and you didn't get like Echo the Dolphin or something. You know, I mean, people like
the guy who invented that. Just did it when he was high on LSD. Like
yeah,
it was truly Just trying to recreate that effect.
No, I actually know quite. I've known a few women throughout my life who Genesis was their first console, and Echo was the game that they got with it.
Right.
And they all suck at video games. Like they all grew up to be shit at video games, and the ones who didn't get Echo are kind of good. The ones that were playing Ghosts and Ghouls, they're pretty good video games. So, is what it is. Okay,
it was a 2-pack, Jason.
It was
That's
a
one of those
2-pack.
KBs, probably like they bundle them.
That's
You
cool.
buy the Sonic, but they're trying to get rid of that other inventory, so they wrap it up together. Yeah.
You know what my big snob move was? My big snob thing was if you had the Nintendo light gun and it was red, I thought you were a jerk, because if you had the silver one,
The red one. Yeah, I had the silver one. That's when we had to buy that separate. That didn't come. Ours didn't come bundled. We had the actual. My dad kept the packaging too, up until like he passed. My brother threw it out. I was pissed. I'm like, keep the fucking packaging.
Yeah.
But 95 was when they were trying to get rid of all the Genesis inventory, because I started working retail at 96, and they put me in the games department, obviously, because I was the nerd. And that was when the Saturn first came out. And it came out in 95, but by that Christmas, it was already dead. Like, it was already dead by 96. Like, they were already telling us, just give everything away. Like, we're never moving any of this shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That was Genesis was a good system, but it did stay around for a very long time. Like, after, I was surprised
89.
when it was still alive.
89 to 95, 96, dude. It's quite a long
very
time.
Yeah.
It's like the Switch, man. Like, I keep telling everyone, I'm like, look, man, fucking Zelda's fun. It's the way they make the world feel living, and the physics stuff is all fun.
Mm-hmm.
But this is technology that was brand new in 2011. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This is guys. You know what that means? That means, imagine if like Super Mario World was using NES tech. You know what I mean? Like, or beyond that, like, see, 12 years, 85, 95. No, imagine if Mario 64 was still running on NES tech.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're talking about. This is crazy, dude. Like, it's crazy to me that I feel, Jason, and I don't want to be one of those guys who's getting older, things are getting worse, but I feel like we are getting suckered technology-wise in a lot of ways. Like, I think
it's a little bit of the bottlenecking of the market itself with like innovation, that it's not really moving that much further ahead. So it's allowing them to sort of play this cheap game. If fucking 16K fucking TVs came out today, Nintendo would have to get off its ass and do something like much different than what it's been doing. But instead, they're kind of just able to be like, kids are dumb, and that's where they're at. That's the whole problem with it. Kids are dumb. And so they're like, but in reality, they're actually like not. And my kids don't want to play the Switch that much. They only watch YouTube on the Switch, because they know that's a trick to be able to watch more YouTube when I tell them they can't. And then Aria asked, Jason, do you think someone else gets Dawn of the Jedi if this indie movie fails at the box office? I don't think it would be realistic for them to fire somebody off of another movie because that person ordered the movie that they wrote. You know what I mean? That they had made, that they signed off on. I don't think that, just like I don't think Taika Waititi makes the Thor movie that I don't like and he gets fired off of Star Wars. Like, that's just not how it works. It would have to be gross incompetence that led to a movie being destined to fail, then, and so on. Now, obviously, some people, you start to get a feel for them. This person just doesn't have mainstream taste. We're trying to make a popcorn movie that connects on all audiences, but that would require probably a streak of failed films that could have been big but just weren't. And you start to go, well, what's the commonality here? And it's like
Steven Spielberg didn't really make a great Indiana Jones movie the last time. It still made it $850 million. You guys just don't know. Like, you got to stop. That's why I do not get into the how much a movie's going to make fucking game. Because if anyone could figure this out, they would be hired immediately by by a studio, and they'd all be making the money. Like, it just doesn't work the way fans think. Like, globally, even internally, like you could say I'm not interested, or I think these people aren't interested. That has nothing to do with it. And I learned this when I started working in t-shirts. I took the first year, I took a 3-month break, and I went and drove around the country and just went to different Walmarts across the country. I took a summer and just drove from here all the way up to Montana, out to the East Coast and back. Like I drove all the way around, man. Spent 3 months worth of pay doing it. But I wanted to see what they meant when they said a Walmart in St. Louis ain't going to buy that, like Walmart in North Dakota. Well, I fucking checked out those regional Walmarts. And I could tell you, like, things don't sell the same in different parts of the country. And so you can't predict.
No, it's a fact. Like I know this is once again a tangential and personal experience, but when Mace Windu came out here for Phantom Menace, it was hard to get at first, but like my mom in Kansas had no problem finding Mace Windu. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different reasons, but I also I was a lot of sad reasons, but they're also on I tried to get an answer to this and I got really close, and I think it's the truth, but I don't know for certain. But if you like look at Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars trilogy's action figures by Kenner in the late 70s and early 80s, the hair changes color drastically. And I think the hair colors changed depending on the markets, between how fucking bright yellow and brown they were. And there's some of them like where they have like certain hair, and it's like on like the Tri-Lego cards, which is going to be going to Spain and stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, so maybe there's a little bit of trying to go for sameness, but it also could have just been production. This was 2006
when I made that trip, and even at that point they had regions. That's why. So I planned my trip based on their regional data. Because, I mean, our shirts were in every Walmart nationwide, so I wanted to see how are they being placed nationwide. Like, what did that look like? Right. So I can only imagine, dude, like whatever excites, even like when they go, well, YouTube views, it's got views. It just doesn't mean anything. I wish it did, like at the end of the day, those Transformers movies, when Bay was making them, were still making a shitload of money, and no one was clapping for them, right? Like those Fast X movies coming out, that movie could make a 1-point-something billion because celebrity sells in different countries. You just don't know, like how it's going to work out. I'm with you. The real question is, internally, are they happy with them? Because if they're happy with Mangold, he could end up running the whole fucking studio one day. Like that's what's really important,
That's always been my point about Rian Johnson. Is people go, oh, so and so's not going to happen because of something I saw on like YouTube. It's like, no, actually, they love the guy. They fucking love that guy.
Lord and Miller weren't removed off Solo because they test screened the film and people booed.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not what happened. Like, So
it's like, if but I would say like I said, if a director continues to like not connect on a mass level, they will stop trusting him to make movies at that budget, and it will just, he'll get quiet. Yeah. He'll get quieter.
Who else has had that? Someone else has gone down that trajectory.
Well,
I mean,
I don't think that like this applies to the thing, but like Ridley Scott is somebody who has been really in step with pop culture taste and standards, and really out of step with it. But he's such a big filmmaker that he just gets to keep going. He's fine. He's always been fine. But it's like, how did the guy who did whatever movie you love by Ridley Scott also do the Robin Hood movie that he did? That was just like the most.
Well, the crazy thing about the Robin Hood movie, the Robin Hood movie though was originally a fucking Nottingham movie about how Robin Hood was an asshole and Nottingham was like a fucking good dude. It was like a reversed. It was a dark comedy. It was one of those blacklist scripts that everyone was
really?
Like, yeah, he picked it up, and it turns into this fucking historical epic about the Magna fucking Carta. And they were like, how does that happen? How does that happen? I'm like, because they buy a script, and then and I know that if you go watch I don't think anything's changed. If you go watch the Dangerous Days documentary with Hampton Fancher, the making of Blade Runner, and Hampton Fancher talks about what the difference between before Ridley Scott comes on board and when Ridley Scott comes on board. And when Ridley Scott comes on board, Ridley had changes.
Yeah.
And Hampton was used to fighting back. I'm the writer. This is the 70s, right? No, the writer, no. And then Hampton goes, look, my buddy pulled me aside. He goes, mate, I know me, mate. You know, like Ridley's producer goes, I know me, mate. He's going to get what he wants. Like, you're not going to be here if you don't do the thing. And so Ridley Scott wanted to make a Magna Carta movie, and his way in was just picking up whatever script the studio already picked up. You know what I mean? And then he changed and blah, blah. The sad part is that movie never got made. You know, like that's the sad part is.
Another example, not of somebody who couldn't work, but like of them loving somebody and then what fans assume or make up lies about is another Taika one. And when they were doing Mando's finale and he was directing that, they loved him and they were like, they wanted to give him something. And Bespin has told the story, I think on this show, you know, that one of his sources said that, like, and he told me this back then, actually, it was being told that, like, that's their dream director. And that you're not going to take that away. Like, the movie would have to, like, really break Kathleen Kennedy. She would have to see it and just be like, you actually are a colossal fucking idiot who seemed like you knew what you were doing. Like, it would be really, really like an egregiously bad film. I think it'd be like M. Night. That's the good example that you had, Rob. I think it would be like M. Night. That has to be because Kennedy's one of the people who propped him up first. She discovered him, if you will, and then he did what he did with his thing. I actually am kind of glad though, because I'm actually enjoying his last movies that don't take themselves super seriously and are like cinematic Twilight Zone episodes. The fucking beach is terrible. It's called The Beach, yeah. But I enjoyed it. But Knock at the Cabin was a good time. Not the greatest movie, but it's not bad.
The execution on Glass was not up to Unbreakable standards.
Yeah, he shouldn't.
Good idea of being I like the idea of being in an insane asylum, and I like the actors, but the overall construction and execution of the product, the final film was not.
I wasn't including that one. That's one of the ones I think that's like the big blemish on this era, you know.
Because Unbreakable is probably my top 3 comic book films of all time, and it's not a comic book movie. I mean, it is, but you know what I mean. It's an original thing,
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Molly Damon, she's got shit for brains. Beats me. I don't know. I honestly. She has shit for brains. She's a fucking asshole. She talks shit about me. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's a fucking maniac. I was always nice to that fucking asshole too. I'm just gonna call her a fucking asshole because what she is. And it's like the Galactic Star Cruiser is closing because it's not getting booked. It's not because of DeSantis. It's not fuck DeSantis. He could burn in hell too. That said, that's a
whole facility they have to renovate. That's going to cost them money. That's not the same as canceling a project that they worked on. Like the hotel, the situation of relocating employees. Now we just don't have to spend money. But they already spent the money, not just building it, advertising it, hiring people, training them. I mean, how much fucking money you think they spent? $1 billion on this fucking thing? You know, like it's crazy how much money they probably spent on it. So closing it is a worse. It's like closing Galaxy's Edge would be a really bad idea for them, right? Just doesn't look good. Yeah. When you gotta close a Star Wars thing, you don't do that because of political issue. There's a real financial problem. It's bleeding them money, you know, like
yeah. The Royal Fino says you could argue Mangold is the most accomplished director that Star Wars has ever had prior to his first Star Wars movie. Compared to him, Ryan and JJ were risks. So I think in terms of quality at that point, like I think you are correct, but JJ had already revitalized Star Trek, and I think that was a clearer win in that front.
Except Jason, they're forgetting who directed Solo.
Mm-hmm. Ron Howard?
Yeah. If you're just saying an accomplished director,
yeah.
he's far more accomplished than
That's
Mangold.
That's fair. But I'm going to amend it and say Mangold is the most probably. Well, yeah, you can't really do that either, because I would say Mangold and Ryan are probably neck and neck about who would be considered maybe the highest quality director of the Disney Star Wars
doesn't have the
era.
energy.
But
Ryan and Mangold still have their energy. They have
Yeah.
that fire, right?
Mhm.
They still got the flame. And Ron is like stoic. That's why I was like, Ron would have been a better choice for episode 9 than a solo film. You need that fire
Right.
that under your belly, you know, not the he's just like a looking back dude at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like he's just not that filmmaker anymore necessarily.
Right.
Like Spielberg, like both Spielberg and Ron Howard, like they want to make movies about astronauts in retirement or something now. They don't really want to, you know, it's something like
or
that.
Jets versus Sharks, you know what I mean? Like
whatever. Yeah.
Whales with Tom Holland.
Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, like but I'm going to take him out of it because he was a safety. He was brought in to try to save a movie that they didn't like the direction
Fair
of.
enough.
And then so I'm referring to say, like, you know, yeah, but Mangold and Ryan though, Mangold, Ryan, and Taika though, those are three of the people that I would pick. You know, I would pick them to be involved in Star Wars. I think that they're 3 filmmakers with voices, and they bring in, you know, they made interesting films. I do hope that Ryan's next one is more like Looper in a way. And when I say that, I mean, like, I hope Ryan's next Star Wars film is less fantasy and has a little bit more grit to it. Like that's one of the things I would like to see him bring.
He's written a lot of comedy in the last few years, like with Knives Out and Poker
Yeah.
Face. I mean, I know he's not writing all those episodes of Poker Face, but he's
writing
it.
Yeah.
But he's writing. But I just hope he's getting that out of his system, because I could use a little less of it. You know, just a little less of it if he's going to come back to Star Wars at some point.
Right. I mean, if he does come back to Star Wars, if he does make something and then he does put comedy in it, it will probably be okay though, because it's like, you know, people act like you were making a joke about Christ or something if you have Luke make a joke, and you know what I mean, or there's anything funny with those characters. So it's like, you know, at least if he does something else, it will likely be completely original, and I think that will be the best way to grade him in a way. Like I firmly believe if JJ went to make an original Star Wars project, an original one from scratch, I don't know if he can do it. I don't know if it would be that good. I don't know if it would be that original. I think everything he does is down the line is derivative all the time. And
he's good at
that can be good
performances,
and that could be good though.
Performances with actors.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But
yeah.
In terms of writing, he should stay the fuck away from a script. Like I'm not on the J.J. Abrams writing a movie camp.
Yeah,
you know?
No, yeah, same. I'm not either. That's why like everything is like very like derivative. And I kind of think though that those movies will likely happen, but
although
the but is, I think it's going to be 5 years away at least. I think he has a lot. The guy has a lot lined up. I don't see. I think it's going to require like a weird twist of things, stars aligning, and I think they will though, unless, and here's where I think it dies potentially, or most likely dies, if Kathleen Kennedy leaves, and then that's where I think it's unlikely people who were in these development deals necessarily see their things actually ever happen. At that point, I think that like they start canceling those and being like, yeah, we're not in business with you. We're not doing Rogue Squadron, you know, that kind of stuff. And but we'll have to look back at this video in like 5 years and laugh about how none of it happened. Probably. No, but once again, to get back to the very last part before we leave here, Mangold got Indiana Jones 5 made. Indiana Jones 5 had as many problems as all of the rest of these things, and he got it done. So
during COVID.
During COVID, yeah, there's something to be said about that, about either their faith in him or him being able to work that system or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what all the behind the scenes details are, but with all of that put together, it came and it happened. And now some people have now seen this Indiana Jones movie. So that counts for something. And so I kind of think we will see his Star Wars movie. But once again, my whole thing is, I think that what's actually the problem is that Disney owns too much. They own Star Wars, they own Avatar, and they own Marvel. And it's just like, how do you fucking get anything made when like,
They don't own Avatar.
Well, they're distributing it. And how do you not step on your own toes? How do you decide, you could only make a movie every other year for really? It's just like, what? Like it's fucking insane. Like, and right now they're acting like that's the way it has to be. I don't think that can last forever. I don't think it makes sense that lasts forever. But I don't know if they have an answer to it, Maybe they're just going to be like, well, we got 2 Star Wars movies this year. We're going to try it again. Or how are we going to make it work? But right now, the last thing that we've ever heard of with any official like firmness from both Kennedy, the Lucasfilm side, and Bob Iger, the Disney side, is, oops, not going to do that mistake again. But now they're like, oh, we can't do that, but we also can't release a movie against Marvel. We can't release a movie when Avatar's releasing. So that's why I don't know if I believe, like when Deadline, I think it's Deadline, who says that the Filoni movie's in 2026. I don't think there's a Star Wars movie in 2025 and in 2026. That's provided the writer's strike ends tonight and everything goes back to normal, Like, I just don't really know if they can do it or if they will do it. And like there's ways of doing it for sure. I think they need to figure it out. I think that they need to be like, you know what, we got to solve this. But but if we pretend that those are the rules and that the pieces on the board move according to those rules, I don't know how anything gets made. How you tell Taika, yeah, Taika, we'll make your movie in 2 years. Be ready. And Taika's like, well, my movie, it's going to take me a year to do this next movie, and it's starting in 6 months. It's impossible. So like that schedule, how that's going to work for anybody is that's the I think the true like headache of the whole thing for them.
Well, simultaneously saying things like we're only going to release things when they're ready. It's just very conflicting. It's very conflicting. I don't believe pretty much anything that's being said right now, like from any reporter, any side, because all of it doesn't mesh up. Even their official statements don't line up half the time.
It's like the UFO phenomenon.
Oh, right.
Nobody knows what's going on.
I find one hill you're willing to lose on, and just let everything else fall to the wayside. That's how. Like the one hill I'm willing to lose on is they will fucking definitely make a movie that takes a Mando movie, right? I was like, there's just no way that wasn't gonna fucking happen to me. Like, that's it. Now, will they have taken the longest possible fucking time and waste all the opportunity and goodwill they had and probably run it into the ground before the movie comes out? Yeah, sure they will, because that's what they always do. Like they never know how to properly seize the moment. Like they sit back and then wait as if everyone's getting younger, as if people's attention spans fucking hold. And then 7 years later go, now we'll do it. And it's like, yeah, thank you. Well, you got it. Yeah, you got me there. Like, I
mean, the best case scenario, just to touch on what Arya is saying too, is what would the fan base response be if Ryan did a prequel film touching the characters we all love? I think we don't know what Ryan's premise was, but what if Ryan's premise was the same as Mangold's? And if that's the case, then maybe Ryan makes the second movie or the trilogy fits into that what he's launching. Like at the end of the day, like if it's about the people who are discovering the Force, I mean, you could have it happening around the galaxy at the same time and interesting conflicts there and stuff.
whatever they do post Mando movie on Disney Plus, I'd like to see Ryan Johnson like run a show. You know, I'd like to see what that looks like. Not hanging on, and then if you wanted to do a movie culminating that afterward, fine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I just want him to get past this fucking whether he makes Star Wars stuff or not. I'm just tired of the Ryan Johnson mystery hour right now, though. Having sat through 2 Knives Out films and Poker Face season 1, I'm like, you've done it. Good. It's good work. Get out while, don't be a JJ. Don't come back for 9. You're going to fuck this up eventually and then become known as the boring.
He has to make
guy.
Another Knives Out because he sold 3 of them to Netflix.
Yeah. And he also says he will make as many LeBlanc films as Homeboy wants to make. And I'm like, no.
And unlike J.J. Abrams, when he signs a production deal with the studio, he actually gets his shit done.
Yeah.
Look, I got to be honest. The thing that, episode 9 aside, that's a blemish. That's a giant blemish for me. The thing that actually fucking puts me in the J.J. Abrams' shady category was that $500 million with fucking Warner Brothers and didn't do jack shit. And I get you go, Rob, you don't understand how this works. I'm like, I understand enough. And I've spoken to people who have production companies, okay, that produce films, have produced television, and they tell me it's really fucking bad. Like it's not a good thing. You don't want that. I mean, you can't coast on fucking your laurels for so long. And when you burn a studio for a certain, or they feel aggrieved. How about that? They feel aggrieved. That those people at those studios, they leave, they go to other studios.
Let's be very realistic right now, okay? JJ was born on June 27th, 1966. He is 56 years fucking old.
All right, Glennis McCants.
No, you know what I mean? No, I mean, yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But no, I'm saying JJ, and people retire at 65 because they have to, not because they want to, or they're made
he
to
should
wait.
Retire after Rise of Skywalker. I say be done.
Yeah,
but he took that production deal after Rise, right? So
right, but because he's so damn good looking and charming, people think he's like 39, but he's about to be 60 here in a couple of very very soon. I think he just is like, I'm going to take their fucking money and they're going to hate me, and I don't care because I'm almost done. That might be the case. I mean, he hasn't been that prolific. Like after it's not like he's like one of those guys where he's just like making a movie a year and he just can't stop.
He should have retired after The Force Awakens. After The Force Awakens. Everyone would fucking love him.
He'd have been a legend.
He'd be Hollywood golden boy for the you know what I mean? Yeah. Like for the rest of his for all time. But here we are, man. Like, look, that's why I said like whatever happened, if it were me, I would have just had Ryan finish off that trilogy, and if you needed 2 films to do it, I would have been like, then you will make a film after COVID once COVID hit and shit. Or if that film had needed to be delayed because, whatever, and then they couldn't ship it during. Look, put it this way. If Ryan had done episode 9 and then it got delayed because COVID had come out, right? Or it got delayed because of production, right? He couldn't meet that date. They go with delay. Then COVID comes out and they can't release it that year. They hold on to it. When they do release that film, it could have made twice the amount of money. It could have done Spider-Man No Way Home numbers, being a Star Wars movie that comes out when at the end of COVID or I say that in figures, but I don't think the shit's over, but you know what I mean. When people are going back to the theaters, that's holding off on episode 9. It could have been the thing everyone would I just want to see it, and then you drop that, boom, like it could have been, that's the thing that gets me about this whole, well, we had to get it out because, and aren't we glad we got it out because there may not even be theaters. Well, that's not the way it worked out. And that whole, there won't be movie theaters thing is such bullshit because I'm like, okay, let's say all the theater owners, like, we're not doing it anymore. If the studios just decide to make a Star Wars movie and a Batman movie and to put that out, they can invent their own theater and watch fucking everyone go to. It's just not, it's just ridiculous,
Well, I would say Crawley Chaos feels that Ryan Johnson doesn't get Star Wars, keep him far away. The thing is whenever we go and you do something with Star Wars, it's going to be the filmmakers putting their voice into it. Nobody, I don't know what does getting Star Wars even mean.
Why do you explain Rise of Skywalker? Look, I don't fucking love The Last Jedi. I like the ending. I think the ending is fucking great. I'm sorry what anyone says, and I know it's just Escape from LA, but it's a better film than Escape from LA. No one could argue that. But Rise of Skywalker's dog shit is barely a fucking film, dude. It's barely. It's got it's so fucking bad, dude. From the goddamn weird montage, slow motion, Kylo Ren in a red filtered background that's supposed to be Mustafar that ain't really Mustafar. It just goes on and on and on with the weird, we couldn't find a dagger in a desert and they find it in 2 seconds when they fall down a fucking hole. You know what I mean? Like, it's bullshit. It's got like 800 fucking MacGuffins in that movie. Mm-hmm. It's got a dagger. It's got one interesting sequence, and it's the remnants of the Death Star bits. That's it. Everything else is fucking bullshit, dude. It's just ridiculous. Calm my tits. I'm not calming my tits. That movie angers me to no end, dude. That Rise of Skywalker, because but you can't say because this guy did something I didn't like, that means the next time he does something I'm not gonna like it, or because he did something I did like The Force Awakens, means that he should come back and fix. That doesn't mean anything, as we've seen.
Well, it's like when it comes to like and I'm not trying to put anything on you. I'm talking just having the conversation. I'm like, you created the topic kind of thing, not at you, Crawling Chaos. But like, if the idea is George Lucas, if we think George Lucas created, or he didn't create Star Wars, but if George Lucas is what sets if you get Star Wars or not, George would say every single person on this planet doesn't get it. Because it's just like his like ideas and what he would do. And then when people go around and they try to emulate that, it never works. So
who said that? Did Gilroy say that? Someone said that recently. Someone who said that. They said, I was listening to someone talk about Star Wars, and they were saying that when Disney, I think it may have been Snyder, but they were like, when Disney tries to replicate what George Lucas does, they fail. But when they just do their own thing, they've had their most success. Mando is its own thing. It doesn't have John Williams music. You know, it may have homages, but it is its own thing. Rogue One and or are its own things. And Solo, you know, had it been any other fucking character, it could have been interesting, you know, but
well, I would argue that Andor is one of the best Star Wars things of all time. And I would also be okay with the argument that Tony Gilroy doesn't get Star Wars. Tony Gilroy is not doing Republic serial homages in the middle of his stuff. He's not doing an action adventure swinging on a rope story about romance. But you know what I mean? This is like
Buster Keaton.
It doesn't do any of that. He doesn't care if your 7-year-old understands the movie. Could give 2 fucks. And it's like, it's like that's where I come in, where what we always say, what we think, I think we agree on this. It's not our idea necessarily, but if the human story is there, somebody can make a good movie. That's just what it comes down to. Somebody could make a good movie if they have a good human story and it's in a Star Wars packaging. Because that's why, because Mando season 1 is a fucking guy whose face we can't see in a puppet. But the human story is between, like, you know, a found family, a father, and an adopted son sort of story. Right. 2 people coming together. That's a human story. It fucking works. Andor, Rogue One works in the same way, but it's more closer geared towards Revolution. But the father-daughter stuff between Jin and both of her dads, works.
What I say is the thing that's overlooked the most is when Andor does the thing Han Solo doesn't. Andor takes the money and leaves. And what happens? He still gets caught up by he literally gets arrested by the Empire for being brown, for just walking. Like, you can't, like, money can't solve this problem. Money isn't going to get you out of fascism, you know, which is a very human element, you know, like, and it's told in a human way because we see when he goes to prison, we see them as, we're not dealing with being told what's happening. We're experiencing it firsthand from a first person perspective, you know, which is a big difference between that and what we get like in, say, Mando season 3, where you're told this happened to the Mandos and that happened to the Mandos and then this happened to me and then that happened to me. It's like, I don't fucking know what you're saying, man. Like whatever. But that's what I'm trying to, like, the whole point though, at the end of the day is if you could say, I didn't like what dude did with the movie, so I know he could never do well the next time. All right, well, let me tell you something. James Mangold made a movie called The Wolverine, which I fucking can't stand. It deals with the Chris Claremont, Frank Miller run on Wolverine, and that was a mandate by the studio because you know who wrote the first script to that? Chris freaking McQuarrie. Christopher McQuarrie wrote the original script to that, and and by his own words, not a single bit of it ever ended up in the film. Do you know why? Because he didn't want to give himself. He wanted to put Chris Claremont and Frank Miller as credits on the script, and the WGA wouldn't allow it. And he's like, "Well, whatever. I don't really care. I'll get paid for this because I know you're never going to use an element of this because it's using the fucking comic." And he's right. That didn't happen. The studio got the studio script the studio wanted, and Mangold made that movie. That movie fucking sucked. He then gets the studio to give him a pitiful amount of money, whatever it needed, to make the R-rated Logan, the actual the Chris Claremont, Frank Miller-esque boots to the teeth kind of feeling Wolverine movie with Logan, and gets nominated for like Best Picture and shit. So like you can't say
Taika Waititi made the Marvel movie I have watched the most throughout my life. But he also made and he also made the one I haven't even finished yet.
So you just can't.
It's irrelevant.
You just can't. I mean, I make stuff all the time, and I'm cognizant, man. I'm working on a project now that means so much to me, but like, I'm like, am I making a turd? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I fear that. Like when you're like, are fans of this gonna think this or this or that while you're doing it? You know, and when you're in a project like that, you can't vocalize it to anyone, right? And even internally, you can vocalize, and they'll tell you you're hoping that the people above you are able to look at it, right, holistically, and say, no, you're on the right path. But what if we're all wrong? Like you just gotta do the best you can do, and then like pray for the best that people latch onto it. I feel like the problem with Love and Thunder at the end of the day is it suffers two major problems, man. It's too much story for one movie, and it makes fun of, it doesn't have fun. At the times, the humor comes from a making fun of fucking place, you know? So
Joe D mentions Force Awakens is the fourth highest grossing film in the world. Rise of Skywalker's 36th place. Regardless of who directs them, they will be financially successful. Even Rob Zombie could do it, I guess. And when I was watching that James Gunn, that James Gunn video we talked about earlier, he talks about how there was this point in LinkedIn when it would start throwing people at you who were in your phone contacts or whatever. And he said that one day LinkedIn suggested Rob Zombie to him on LinkedIn, and he thought it was the funniest thing ever. And that is pretty funny. The idea of Rob Zombie on LinkedIn makes me laugh. But
Rob Zombie made that Monsters movie, which is
that is so
beyond the movie. Just from a technical standpoint, we're listening to scenes that weren't properly mic'd, bro. Like there's whole scenes in there where it's the microphones across the room. Like that's unacceptable.
Yeah. And Junior Jangle talks a little bit about how, episode 9 turned into a curmudgeon. And but it's like also who put Luke on the fucking island, and there were only ever two places to take Luke. I'm Luke Skywalker and I love you and I want to be very kind and do everything for you, or the curmudgeon. And in reality, we know that Mark Hamill's capability as an actor was this. The thing about Ryan is he did what George did. He played to the actor's strengths and how he dealt with the characters in that movie. And remember, Mark had not acted in live action in a meaningful way in fucking years. And he got a really good performance out of him. And I just don't disagree with anything that he did on that front. Now, once again, I'm not telling you your opinion's wrong or anything like that. But when I just look at it, I'm just like, I don't think that I'm Luke Skywalker and I'm your dad. I just don't think Mark was going to be able to bring that. I always said this too before they even made a choice on it, But what's funny is you see like that quote coming out about how like he says like, I fundamentally disagree with all of your decisions on this movie. People who stick to that, they don't follow the rest of the documentary where he comes around and he sees that Ryan was right. But also, if you go to the 2013 Return of the Jedi EW screening with Mark Hamill, I was there, and it had a name, Cape Town Festival. You could probably find the interview somewhere. Mark is literally saying that he needs to be what he becomes in The Last Jedi. He literally says it. He also says, I'm not going to learn how to lightsaber fight. I'm too old. I don't want to do the workout. You don't know how hard that was. I don't want to do it again. So then they go and then they make that movie. And that's why that movie always, like, I knew what it was going to be. I knew where it was going to go with Luke. I just thought it might've been in episode 7 originally, you know? And, but nope, it went exactly that way. So once again, though, that's where Lucasfilm went. They made sort of one of those fabricated behind the scenes kind of things where it's like everything's a loose truth. It's PR to fuck. It's fake history. J.W. Rinsler's like, I'm not working on this shit. This is PR. Peace out. This ain't my fucking cup of tea. And he's gone. And then you end up with this. And then now it's like the thing that they hold against the movie. Like, this is the proof. Mark Hamill feels the same way we do. And when in reality, if Mark Hamill truly felt that way, he would never have shut the fuck up about it. He wouldn't. He would talking about it like just like that right now. About he'd be making fun of it. It would be he had nothing to lose, and he wouldn't want to work with them anymore. But that's not really where we're at on that movie. But you know, it is what it is. You know, it just is. You know, Crawling says Ryan, knowing his shit, clearly did not know about the executor losing its shield, so it could be ran. So that kind of shit's that's just nerd fucking shit, dude. Like, you're doing the right fantasy, you don't give a fuck about that. At the end of the day, they do what they want to do with the story and the visuals, and then they let the fucking nerds fucking justify it in a book by Pablo Hidalgo. That's just how that shit goes.
I made a joke with Lucas. I made a joke earlier when Lucas came. I had Giorgio come on, right?
Yeah.
Georgie Porgy came on, and I said the fans don't care. They'll just like write. They'll write at the worst. They'll write a letter into Starlog. That's a literal quote from George Lucas when they were first working out Luke having a lightsaber in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. He had no explanation for it, and Lucas's response to that was, "What's the worst that's going to happen? Some fans are going to write a letter into Starlog."
Starlog,
like,
yeah.
Like, Lucas doesn't care about any of that. Lucas wasn't doing. Like,
yeah, it's about the fantasy.
The fandom we have now, Jason, for me, largely is I put fandom in before Lord of the Rings and after Lord of the Rings, because once the Lord of the Rings DVDs came out. And they were like, everything was figured out. We had the whole timeline. We made everything so it was real. Everything made sense. And it doesn't. It's still a fucking movie. A lot of it don't fucking make sense, but it's entertaining. But they believe that. And so everyone goes, all these things have to fucking make complete 100% line up, synchronicity, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, we're watching a Superman movie where I'm like, where's he hide the fucking boots? We still have never solved that problem. You know, like
okay. I'm gonna help Crawling Chaos out here. Okay, so I'm the creator of Star Wars now. Everything is my choice. Okay, so Crawling Chaos says some of us do care. They're crapping on the established logic of the universe. Your logic would be fundamentally flawed because you're saying that Executor Star Destroyer in Return of the Jedi is the same as a ship manufactured 30 years later for a different regime in a different part of the galaxy. And I would also say that it's selective criticisms because, like, light speed skipping in episode 9, why the fuck don't they just always do that? Why the fuck is that only used then? And it's because it's about the fantasy, and you can never divorce space fantasy from Star Wars. And it's not just genre. It's in the fact that it's about going with what you can fantasize and what
the Jedi
fun
can run
in
really
moment.
Fast. If the Jedi can run really fast, why didn't Luke ever speed run? Why didn't they
Luke
run really fast in the other two movies? That the Attack of the Clones. Why weren't any of the Jedis running fast in those battles?
So calling it 30 years later, more advanced ship, or 30 years later, made in secret against the Republic who would destroy you, and you can't get all of the things that it's not real. It's fantasy. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not crapping on everything.
Well, Paul Hirsch talks about this part of it in his book, specifically when he came onto the Star Wars project, was that Lucas was like, make sure we put I want to put sound effects in space because it's a fantasy. I don't want to hear how this isn't realistic. Like, he specifically didn't want to hear about realism. Yeah. It was his whole goal was to put all the sounds in space and fly around and have adventures in it because he didn't want to hear about realism.
Right.
You know, like that was the exact opposite.
We you know what, Star Wars fans don't want to know about how Snoke's ship would probably be so big it would be creating its own gravity around things.
Right.
Like, that's boring. That's fucking boring, bro. Like, nobody wants that shit. Like, what we want to see is giant
and
fucking Star Destroyers.
It's not going to make it a better movie.
Yeah, I want to see Laura Dern flying spaceships into shit, like on a cool, like that's what that's what like Star Wars is about. The other shit is just start. You get into a Star Trek place when you start going like, oh, the warp drives, and shit like that. It's that belongs more in a science fictionary like kind of zone. But for me, once somebody lifts a rock with their mind, I don't care anymore. It's fake. It's fucking fantasy. You know what I mean? At that point, right. Yuri Geller
once
comes
Kermit the Frog puppet does it, we're way in the realm of fucking fantasy.
Yeah, at that point, I'm not taking shit like serious in that way. I'm going with the and that once again, I'm not saying it needed to work for you or anything like that, like Chaos. Like but I do think that's one of those things where like something else got on your tits, and then you started nitpicking at that. You know what I mean?
Here's where it does matter. Here's where I think it does matter. You can't in one scene, in your scene, say, hey, we can't do this because we don't have enough fuel in our backpacks. And then in another scene, 2 episodes later, have unlimited fucking fuel in your backpacks to do whatever the fuck you want your characters to do. If the shield thing was a pertinent piece to the narrative of the story, if they go, hey, we can't take this out because of this, right? And then that exact same ship, and it wasn't the same ship, it was a different ship for some other order. But if that exact same ship shows up and they don't do that, then it's an issue because it's a definite issue, but it's not the same.
Are you joking, Junior? Because I read that script. I read it on this show before. That's not, that never happened. That was always called Magic Mountain. That idea was created. Oh man, what's her name? The woman with dreadlocks from the story group. Fucking, I'm drawing a blank on her name right now. That was her idea. That, you know what, we don't deal with Luke in this one because we haven't figured it out, and we just put him at the end like that. That's how that went. And they called that set Magic Mountain, Rob. Octu for episode 7 was called Magic. Everything else was Disneyland themed.
I remember your report on that.
And that was Magic Mountain because it was like a far away from everything else. Like, it made sense. I was like, I get what you guys are doing. But yeah, that isn't true. I don't know what then Daisy Ridley is wrong or she's lying.
Yeah,
because that's
one of the other. Hey, Kathleen Kennedy said we were supposed to get a Taika movie in 2023. What does that mean? Like, the
actual thing that was changed, and it's actually in my reports even from back then that you could still read, was R2-D2 went with the other BB-8 went with Rey and Chewbacca. And instead of R2-D2, who goes in episode 7. That's what was changed, and it was like they decided to do it that way. I don't remember why now. It might have been because like it was because I think Poe Dameron needed the droid, and like it was like a logistical thing. They could have just made it R2, and I don't remember. I think it might. You know what? Thinking back, I think it was Poe's X-wing getting destroyed. They were able to do this idea that they could like shoot BB-8 out like a soccer ball, but they were like R2. I don't know if that fits as well. Like it feels like he would break kind of thing. It was something like that, but don't quote me on that part. I could tell you if Daisy said that she was misquoted or mistaken. The whole suicidal
on about this.
The whole Lucas suicide thing is an expanded universe Lucasfilm thing that showed up in the print that had nothing to do with initially with anything that Ryan and them were doing. Like in that idea, yeah, I got bones to pick with that. If you want to find the interview, by all means, if you want to find the interview and send it to me, send it to me at just MakingStarWars@gmail.com or DM me on Twitter, whatever's easier for you. But send it to me. I'll take a look at it. I would be interested in digging into that a little bit because I'm very certain that's bullshit, or incorrect, or somebody was relaying it incorrectly. But yeah, the the choices that like Ryan made that were like Luke wasn't in episode 7 in any way. That scene was written as it was. And I think we could even prove that the scene was filmed before that script date. Probably, we could probably date these things. So if we want to do a deep dive, we could try to solve a mystery together, Mr. Jingles, and we could dig into it and then say like, nope, or I stand corrected. It is true. But yeah. First rules are crawling chaoses. There are no rules. But you know, once again, there's just really not hard, fast rules in any of the Star Wars films. I mean, like when you just like watch Empire Strikes Back and take it as reality, and like the Wampa is just fucks Luke Skywalker up. He gets hit, like he's all bruised up and shit like that. But then we see Anakin getting bucked around by fucking Rontos, and he's like, "I'm cool."
You want to talk about not following freaking rules? All right, I'll take you back to 1983. Me sitting in the theater watching Luke force choke a Gamora and Pig, right? Wow, look, Luke's got evil powers. Luke ends up in front of a Rancor. Just force choke it.
Yeah.
Just force choke it. You already just showed you can do it.
You just did it. You just did it to the pigs. Do it to the guy. Size matters not, motherfucker. You heard that. I heard it. You heard it. We all know it now.
That's it. He would have actually learned. He could have force choked it, killed it, and been like, size matters not to Jabba. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do with that, dude?
I'm gonna take it a step further. He could have walked up to the gate, force choked Jabba through the door. People would have thought he had a heart attack. He could have walked and gave $17, bought the girl, and left. Fucking end of the day with Han Solo for a bargain.
But you see, with this always leads to Niles. At the end of the day, given the movie they made, they were better off waiting for Ryan to make the 9th movie than letting JJ and Chris Terrio write whatever nonsense they wrote.
At the end of the day, a lot of the things I considered to be good choices by Ryan in the big picture don't fucking matter. They just end up not mattering. That's because of what JJ did. So yeah,
the whole trilogy doesn't matter. It's hard for me to get excited about watching The Force Awakens given where it went, you know.
Actually, you know what? Since they've been going to make a Rey film now, since they're going to do something else, it's made all of that more palatable to me. Like, I'm going to enjoy episode 9 more when episode 9 doesn't matter as much as it did to yesterday. You know what I mean? Like when it's just, okay, here's a fucking. I
know what you're saying.
It
depends on the execution.
I keep trying to say this, Rob, to you, but I can never get to say this part to you. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy and Willow in episode 9 both want to be Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're not. And JJ saw Guardians of the Galaxy and thought, I can do that too. And you watch the banter between them, and you watch like the flow, and it's not there. And you got like the big slug guys and the big weird aliens that are on the Falcon and like and stuff like that. And it's just like, you thought you were James Gunn, JJ, but you were JJ. You're not James Gunn. You can't do it. You got what it takes, buddy.
Also, go read James Gunn's book, The Toy Collector.
Just get James Gunn, Lucasfilm, if you want to make a James Gunn movie next time. Or don't even try. Yeah, he's going to be busy for a while.
Warner Brothers already snapped that one up.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. They'll probably fire him, after, I don't know. I give it.
No, he's CEO. Like,
I know. I think they're going to fire him.
If they do, you know what that payout is? He's like, yes, please fire me. I'll get JJ money. JJ may have made it impossible, so they can't fiscally do it.
I am rooting 100% for James Gunn. Like I believe in James Gunn. I don't believe in Zaslav, Warner Brothers, Discovery Plus, any of that at all. I think James Gunn is the only guy right now I trust to ever attempt to put a Crypto the Superdog in a movie and make me believe like this works. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No one else could do that. Nobody.
Yeah.
So
I'm not excited. Yeah. I'm not excited about that idea. But I know James Gunn, and I'm like, James Gunn will make me like it. You know what I mean? Yeah. James Gunn knows the joke in a way that I don't know how he's telling the joke yet. Is my point. And then I'm probably gonna think it's funny and like it, or find it charming or something like that. And
we gotta We gotta go, Jason.
We gotta go.
It's 2 hours 30.
You know what?
2 hours 30, and we're gonna be reading Indiana Jones reviews tomorrow. So we gotta.
I'm gonna do that like in a little bit. Yeah. But anyways, Crawling Chaos, Aria.
The Crawling Chaos show today.
Crawling Chaos, Junior Jangles.
God, I'm lit. Dude, Jangles,
we will
Brian
pick
Alvarado,
this. Seth Nico, everybody who's still here.
Jonesy.
Brian. Yeah. Brandon.
And this person doesn't watch the show, but I hear them on Double Toast all the time. Blackie Chan. That's a great fucking name.
Not a bad name.
Yeah, and he's black. So yeah. I hope Blackie Chan shows up.
Oh, if he wasn't black, that would be a problem, Rob. That would be a very, very big problem if he were,
especially on Double Toast. Yeah,
that would be a problem. Yeah. But anyways, we'll be back tomorrow. If there's any Star Wars news, we'll of course hit it. And if there's not, we're gonna be talking about the Indiana Jones reviews, the story elements that have come out and stuff like that, and what it means for the film. And we'll relate it back to Star Wars in a lot of different ways, because that movie's success probably is going to dictate some things for Lucasfilm in the coming years. I would say. I'm
really interested to see how this film's gonna do.
Yeah,
because. Again, if people could predict, no one predicted Avatar, dude. Even after the first week in there, you know what I mean? No one had. You just don't know. You just don't know. I'm not a big box office guy. I have like a slight interest in it as of late, but like I said, I think what's his name, Ethan Hunt, Indiana Jones, Mario, fucking those classic characters that have been around since we were children. Mission
Batman
Impossible's never broke $1 billion. It's only, I think, 750 million, maybe 800.
You said billion. I didn't say anything about billions. Okay. I'm saying I think they're going to perform. I don't believe a movie only performs if it makes $1 billion. I think a movie can
100%.
Perform quite well without making $1 billion,
100%.
and especially if they don't put in $350 million into the fucking marketing of it or something. So it's like So at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't even know what $1 billion means when you've paid as much as they pay in marketing. It's like, I don't know, how much is what's the fucking net? What are you really bringing home after taxes? But it's like all that shit. It's like so. Anyways,
is that Louis Tully?
Yeah. But my point is, I think those movies are going to perform, and I think it's going to probably be a good. I think it's going to be Batman, Robert Wool. Can I get a grant? But I think it's going to be a good summer for the studios and film and for that kind of shit. I don't think things are going to bomb. They were saying Transformers was going to bomb, and that doesn't even fit into my like paradigm of what I'm talking about. But I think I heard today that Transformers is almost doing double like what it was anticipated to do, and they underguessed Guardians as well. And I think that there's a deep-seated cynicism from COVID. Rightfully so, from the market that they were coming out of, that they were in. And I think that everybody is, I think lowballing.
I'm going to end it on this. This is the summer we're getting Indiana Jones, Batman, Mission Impossible, and a Ninja Turtles movie.
And a Spider-Man movie.
Batman, I'm getting and a Spider-Man. I'm getting Turtles, Batman, Spider-Man, and Indiana Jones, and a Mission Impossible. I mean, look, I'm going
to the movies like every week this summer. I think it's going to be a good summer for the theaters.
So they're going to give me for at least one ticket.
Fuck you, Nintendo, for trying to charge $30 to buy Mario. Suck my fucking dick. I won't do it.
$30
digitally. Fuck you, Nintendo. Not doing it. When it's $14, we might talk. But until then, you got my ticket money at the theater, but you're not getting my next round of it. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck you, Miyamoto. It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.